Warcraft.
Welcome to Warcraft Reloaded, a podcast brought to you by Mash Those Buttons, covering World of Warcraft Classic and its community. I am Bobby, also known as Blazin' Bob, and I'm joined by Mel, aka Melarina. How you doing?
Hi, I'm good.
Good to hear, good to hear. And coming back to the show, one of the first guests on the show, maybe I think number 3, WillE. How you doing?
Hello, yeah, glad to be back as always. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to talking about everything that's happened over the past couple of weeks.
Yep, we are too, and there's just a lot going on. It's a lot going on. Oh, but yeah, so I'd like to start the show off always by thanking our tank Patreons in Thick Lizzie and Croxford, and we have 2 new tank patrons in Braxton and, I'm going to butcher this name. I should have Google pronunciationed it, but I think Schildkrottenwall?
I think the K is silent. I don't know why.
I don't know. I will definitely, I will definitely look it up and find the correct pronunciation of that for next week. Yep. If the 2 new patrons would like a different name, I've reached out to you and asked if you want to use your in-game name or whatever. So let me know. But thank you so much for your support. And anybody can support us at any level at patreon.com/Warcraft Reloaded. All right, we're gonna go. We're gonna go through, and we did not have any new voicemails this week. If you want to leave a voicemail, the number is 816-866-1066. Or if you're overseas or outside of the U.S., you can go to speakpipe.com/Warcraft Reloaded. Send those in because we've had a lot of fun with those. And I mean, you can send in anything. You can send in, you tell us we're wrong about something, or, as long as it's not, crass or lewd or, toxic. If it's really toxic, it might be funny and we might play it anyhow. But, just send us whatever you want. If you agree, disagree, have a topic you want us to talk about, just, it's been a really good time. So make sure to keep those coming. We did get a new review, so we'll go over that. Then we'll go over what we've been doing in WoW lately. And then we're going to catch up with WillE on, Ulduar so far. Then we'll move on to the news. And then at the end of the show is going to be our raid progression with Yip. But for the people watching live, you will not see that now. You'll see that later on today. And for the people listening at home, you'll get that right after. And then after that, we will end out the show. So that's going to be the show for this week. Mel, do you want to read off our review?
Sure thing. It's 5 stars from Mark Stalmob. He says, best podcast in WoW, period. I also called in about the Chiefs losing, and that clearly didn't happen. Thank God. So could you do that again before the Super Bowl? Could you just call in and leave a message? We just don't like to change things, when it works out for us. He says, so I thought since I lost the bet, I could leave a 5-star review, which I would have done regardless. Mel and Bob are just fantastic. Always make my Mondays easier to listen in to y'all. Cheers and break a leg or an ankle. Too soon. That was too soon. Right?
Was too soon. Was too soon, but we do appreciate the good sportsmanship. It was a hard fought game. Whew, I'm just glad that we got that monkey off of our back and got back to the Super Bowl for the 3rd time in 4 years. So we're feeling pretty good. Yeah, we're feeling pretty good about that. And we're hoping we can take a second one home. So I don't know, man. the Eagles pass rush and Patrick Mahomes' ankle scare the crap out of me. But do you watch any American football, Willie? Are you into that?
No, I'm not familiar with it. I'm out of the loop completely.
Oh, we had
I'm no good on this.
we had Scotty on last week, and a person left a voicemail about the game coming up that weekend, and then we talked about it for a second, and Scotty was like, "You just talked French for like 5 minutes there."
Yeah,
it's good stuff.
It's a bit out of my range, that one. Yeah.
Well, we appreciate the review. Thank you so much. All right, what have we been doing in WoW lately? We'll get to what you've been doing in Ulduar, but have you been doing anything outside of Ulduar? Like, what have we all been doing? Like, you know, the elders or anything?
Just a bit of it's mainly just been raid, pretty much. Bit of the new Heroic Plus or Titan Rune dungeons, whichever one you want to call them. A little bit of that for the dailies. Other than that, it's just been mostly playing Ulduar, really, and progressing in that and seeing everything it has to offer.
How do you feel about the Titan Rune dungeons?
They're fine. I usually try to go with big guild group rather than pug. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of randomly pugging. I find that, you can often have a bit of a disaster if you do that, but I think they're all right.
See,
I mean, they're meant to be like an entry level kind of gearing point. But I don't really have an entry level character. I've just got geared stuff that wants conquest.
Yeah, if I pug on my DPS, I'm like 4.8k gear score rogue, and I get in easy. But we find it fairly easy because we both have a tank character, and then the other one, and then I have a DPS and she has a heal. So my tank will go with her heal, and those are always really easy because it doesn't really matter what DPS we have, like it just goes. Yeah,
exactly.
It just goes fine. But I have run into, every once in a while I pug with my DPS, and I've run into some pretty questionable tanks. You can tell that they're a DPS with kind of like half tank gear because they're just getting chunked and like.
Yeah, that's just the thing. Or people, I don't know, they're a bit undergeared for it, and they're just used to normal Wrath heroics, and you just run for a room and pull 2 packs, and then everyone gets webbed, and then you just instantly wipe or something. I don't know.
Yeah, the Utgard ones are sneaky. Like that ice patch, if you don't move, like that thing stacks up and you just insta die. I've had so many pugs where they're just, that guy's dead again. Oh, that guy's dead again. Oh, dead again. Like, it even has caught me a couple times where I just get used to just being fine, and then all of a sudden I'm like, crap.
Yeah. Or the mirror images, like that. It's
Those
the
are
same
annoying.
on retail. There's something similar. It's called explosive. These little orbs spawn. You have to kill them. They explode after a bit, and it's the exact same. You have to single target them, and it just sucks to do as a warlock so much. I don't have a way to do this. I'm like, I just hope someone else gets it, because I ain't tabbing and pressing Shadow Bolt on each one.
Well, and it doesn't even feel good because like they die instantly, right? And it doesn't okay. So I've only taken care of them on the rogue, because on the tank, like I usually don't have to, but like I hit them and it doesn't even feel like I hit them. Like it doesn't, like they just disappear almost. It feels like before I hit them. And I know it's like my offhand just like hitting and I'm just not seeing it, but it's just like, it feels so worthless. I don't know. It's weird, but I have found that for anybody that just wants to make those a little easier, I'm sure a lot of you would use the Thames Ulduar pack. That's TEMS. Weak Aura. Thames has a dungeon pack that does all the Titan Rune dungeon stuff and keeps you a little more honest on the mechanics there. So if you're looking for a little bit easier time, I just found that recently and it's pretty good. So just a little tip for everybody at home.
Yep, can vouch for that. I use Thames and Ulduar. It's good.
Yep. Oh, and also if you use Thames, just to let you know, they update that about once every 3 to 4 days. So make sure to go in, grab the new one, delete your old one, and re-add it because they keep improving it constantly. So just a heads up to anybody if they're in Ray and they're like, well, mine doesn't show that. It's because you probably have an older version.
And I did hear Bob sent a message that they finally removed where they put the like icons on Flame Leviathan. You know how they're like
right in the middle of your screen?
In the middle top of your screen, like where I'm trying to shoot down Pyrite. And I'm like, why are they right there? I don't know if anybody else is frustrated with that, but that's been fixed apparently.
Because whoever designed it didn't do the pasture seat. They did the demo driving, probably.
100%.
Oh man, yeah, it's those have been kind of fun. Scotty wasn't a big fan of those, he said last week, but I thought they present a new challenge. Some of the stuff can be annoying, but
Yeah, I feel like I'm not really the person who's going to benefit the most from it. I have read a bunch online that people feel as though because Heroic Plus or Titan Rune Dungeons, whatever you want to call them, exist, that the heroic scene's kind of dead. That people aren't going at that gear ladder, they're just getting level 80 and then being like, okay, Heroic Plus time, and no one's inviting them because you're a fresh 80 kind of thing.
There's at least one tank taking them because my last group, the DPS, I had like 3 people that were like 3,700 gear score or something like that. So like just got done leveling basically.
Yeah.
Or no, like 35.
I don't know, if I can't find dungeons, make your own dungeons. Get a few items through badges. Run the next tanks, they drop next 25 gear, and just there's so many off pieces and random bits of loot. Like if you're in an X10, that's probably easier than the Titan Rune dungeons.
Yeah,
right? It gives better loot, and it gives a lot more loot. Basically, do next 10.
It's at least more brain dead than the Titan Rune dungeons. Just because the majority of people running it now are like alts and different things, so they just know the content super easy. So
yeah,
I mean, it was never super hard. So
true.
Now it just drops better gear. But I do think it's a fun challenge if there's more casual people that just want to get a couple pieces of Conquest gear. It's a fun challenge for them to do. But yeah, I mean, I think I did them daily until I got the gear I needed with badges, and I haven't touched them since.
But I mean, 4 days of them buys you a Runed Orb, and like those are still going on at least Benediction for 1,200 gold a pop, so if you're hurting on, I mean, that's one enchant for your weapon right there, Yeah,
it's some easy gold if you have multiple characters and you can do, I don't know, just bang 2 of them out in an hour or something, even pugging.
I do like that you can skip.
I love that you can skip so many bosses and different things.
Yeah, I feel like people never did that before, but
I didn't even know you could in most of them. Like, and I've
never tried to.
Yeah, well, that's one of the cool things about like every guild run I've went with, we did them all. Then I go with these different pugs, and they're like, "All right, we're gonna skip here," and I'm like, "I didn't even know you could skip this trash. This is awesome."
Yeah, you go like in Drak-Tharon Keep, you just run past the troll guy.
Yeah.
Into the spider room, and you get into the next room, and he's like, "Oh, can't go through that. All right, peace out then. See you later." On your way.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I'd never tried it, to be honest, but I used to want to kill every boss because, badges and stuff, didn't you?
Yep.
Yeah.
But now just the badges stop at the end. So you're like,
at the end, so you go to the end.
We will find a way.
Yep. We will break your game.
Have you done any of the elder stuff, or did your character already have all that done? Or are you just not into those?
I haven't really done it this time. I remember doing a bit of it in Classic, Like when Classic first came out, I was like, okay, this time around, I'm going to be the completion guy. I'm going to do everything. I didn't even do Winter Spring Frost Saber during Classic. I got to Honored and I'm like, I'm not doing this.
Dude, I
just changing gears here.
Yeah.
I'm at Revered.
I can't be bothered. It's like I don't want to do 80 more hours of running between this guy who's for some reason standing as far out the way as possible in this village.
Dude, I'm currently
nah, I'll do something else.
I'm currently at Revered, and I'm just like, I'm not doing it anymore. And I'm pretty sure in Cataclysm they up the rep for each of the quests like by like double or triple. So maybe that's the time to do it.
Yeah, I know. Because I did it in retail, they completely reworked the quest, where it's more similar to the Ravasaur one, the Horde, where you like go and have a little cub and you feed it and stuff, rather than just doing laps between the village where you kill the Furbolgs and the hand-in guy. I don't know when that happened though, but
yeah, well,
I know they reworked it.
After Honored, you get an extra quest to go kill the elite giant guys at the bottom, which makes your lap even bigger.
Yeah, but that's like, it's like a
so
10-minute
long.
run.
Yeah, if you in a perfect world,
I can't be bothered.
Oh God!
In a perfect world, you'd have 2 warlocks at each spot. Like
true.
The turn-in and then out south, and then you just have them warping you back and forth. Like that would be like the perfect way to do it, but it would take 5. It would take five accounts, right, to do that.
Yeah, that'd be. I mean, you're right. It's it's still quite a lot of effort, but yeah. So I mean, the whole like collection achievement things. I mean, you do one with the guilds, obviously, for raids and stuff, or if anyone wants to do them. But personally, I don't really go out my way for them anymore.
Yeah, see, I've been just doing a bunch of them. It just gave me other stuff to do. But now with Ulduar, like I don't have time to do anything. Like I'm just raiding constantly. So
we did start to go find our elders, though.
We did.
Which, let me just tell you, there are so many of them, and they're always the furthest away from the flight path. So you have to go all the way to them, and then go all the way back to the flight path, and then go to the next place. And it's always like, is it faster to go back to the flight path or just walk to the next place? And that's just not a fun feeling, right?
We were actually testing. I was like, all right, you go back and fly. I'll run. We'll see which one gets there first.
But you can get the Explorer at the same time. Double achievement.
See, and I already got Explorer. That would have been a good one to like wait on, right?
Okay. Yeah, I guess, yeah.
I just explored somewhere in Northrend. The guild was making fun of me because it was like some spot that I had just never been because we didn't quest there or something. It was like a couple weeks ago and it popped up in guild chat that I had explored that area and they were like, what? I was like, okay.
Like, how have you not been here?
Yeah. There's nothing important happening there.
Oh, it's just because Mel's late and she always gets summoned.
Not always.
Yeah. AFK and Dalaran.
Yeah. Those so at least the elders stuff is at least really straightforward. Like you're literally like if you check I'll put it in the show notes, No Hit Jerome's video. If you check the notes of his video, he's got a nice little weak aura that works in tandem with TomTom and puts, a dot everywhere for you, and you can just follow an arrow to all of your different elders, which is really nice. So like that helps a ton, but it is just a ton to go get. But that's basically the majority of stuff you have to do. You have to set off a few different fireworks, and you have to kill the raid boss in Moonglow. And Moonglade. Moonglow was the city in Ultima Online, I think. Yeah, so we thought that boss would be like a level 60 raid boss, but it looks like they upped it because we just were going to go two-man it. We ended up running into a group of 12. We joined up with them. It was a group of 10, but we made it 12. And it took a good amount of time. And we had there were 5 of us doing about 6K DPS to drop it. I was just like, Well, if I would have known it was going to be like that, I would have taken a flask and food and stuff. Like I just didn't think it was going to be hard, but I guess it's been upgraded.
I mean,
so
it wasn't hard with the 12 people we had, but
yeah. I mean, we never
would have been slightly challenging if it was just Bob and I.
It was like a raid boss type thing.
It was like a 4-minute kill, but I mean, we never ran into any like the heals never ran into any like mana problems or anything. The tank never almost died, but it's something where you're probably going to want, at least a group of 5 to 6 minimum. But also, good tip for people is you could just, if someone's just killed it, I don't know how long it stays, but the beam of light coming down is all you have to step in for the achievement. So if someone's just killed it when you walk up, you could just get the achievement. You don't have to kill it. So, and then the rest is just talking to all of the dudes, getting the coins.
And like shooting off fireworks and stuff.
Yeah. The hardest part of the whole thing is opening all the 100 mails you get from all the different elders sending you crap. And then you have to open the letter that they send you. That was actually the longest part. Well, I mean, actually traveling is the longest part. I would say open up Netflix or listen to this podcast or watch a YouTube from WillE while you roll through these because you're going to be bored.
Need something to do, yeah.
Yep. But yeah, we've been doing that and been doing the dailies when we can. Have you done any of the Argent Tournament stuff? We were doing that before Ulduar came out and then completely like stopped.
No, I was thinking about looking at that, but I just didn't get around to it yet. I've pretty much just been raiding really, and that's been about it since the patch just came out, as far as what I've been doing. But yeah, I understand there's just a few new dailies. You can get some decent gold from it.
Yeah, and they branch into some different dailies. There's lots of it's mounted combat stuff. There's one where you kiss a frog is kind of annoying. But because you have to kiss a lot of frogs sometimes. Sometimes you get it like the first 3, and sometimes you kiss 95 frogs before it actually turns it into the quest girl.
Oh yeah,
do it.
I remember doing them. The amount of combat stuff wasn't my favorite. I remember doing that.
It's not fun.
You have to do it for literally months to get all the stuff, to get enough seals.
Yeah,
really?
For all the rewards. Yeah. Pretty sure, even to this day on retail.
Well, they do have stuff where like
you do more characters, but yeah, it's a lot.
It's kind of cool because there's different options for the mounts. Like I was seeing like one of the mounts you can buy for 100 of the seals or 5 seals at like 400 or 500 gold. Like you had the 2 different options to buy. So I thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, if you want to get all those mounts and stuff, that's why I was trying to get like kind of started early. So maybe some of that stuff was knocked out when TOC comes out, but I think there's going to be a lot of extra time on your hands when TOC does come out. So maybe that is the time to do it.
For sure, yeah. And eventually there's more ways to get the champion seals, the top tier of them. Of the seals when later patches come out too. So
okay, lots of that's
dailies.
a blur.
Yep.
Oh man! All right, well, let's kind of get into how your journey into Ulduar's been. Like, you were saying that you guys did some PTR, thinking about possibly doing some first content or stuff. Like, kind of walk us through your entry into Ulduar.
So we did do a little bit of PTR. We don't really do PTR stuff often, but it's just to see if we could get server first or anything, which we didn't in the end, unfortunately. But the fights we practiced on there were Hodir mostly and a bit of Algalon. Over a few nights. Nothing like absolutely excessive. I don't really know how much we'll be PTR in the future. I can't really see us PTRing Trial of Crusader, but I don't know. It is what it is. Anyway, Ulduar came out. Obviously, we'd had a bit of preparation in it from the PTR, and in the first week we skipped Flame Leviathan hard mode We skipped XT hard mode, as did everyone else in the world, because it wasn't possible.
Yeah.
And then we went straight to Iron Council hard mode. Our first kill on Iron Council was, it literally couldn't have been closer. It was a really good kill. This tank with, the debuff where it automatically kills the tank and then the boss heals, and after you get the second one go off, you kind of just auto wipe. It was less than a second from killing the tank, and if that tank died, we would have wiped, guaranteed.
Wow.
So it was like half a second between us getting the kill and it being a wipe. So that was really good. We raided a few more times in the week. We got all of our hard modes down.
Nice.
And then we spent a lot of time on Yogg-Saron, which is really difficult compared to Yogg-1. It's I honestly think Yogg-Saron might be the hardest encounter in the raid.
Really?
More so than Algalon.
Yeah,
I think.
Do you have to do Yogg-Saron to get to Algalon?
No, you don't have to do anything with Yogg to get to Algalon. It's not many people have done Yogg-Saron because the only difference between, like, Yogg-1 is hard mode. Yogg-Saron is hard mode, and you get Mimron's head, the mount. So it's just the mount difference for a much harder fight. Yeah,
it was crazy. It sucked. Like, I thought it sucked back in the day because our guild, I wanted that mount so bad. We did Yogg-Saron once to get server second, and then we never did it ever again. We literally just were like, no. We never did it ever again.
Tough. It is a tough fight. I mean, Yogg-Saron at the moment, the real question is, how many warlocks does your roster have?
Yeah.
Because we used 8. And most skills use... Yeah. Most skills use between 6 to 8.
Ooh.
The DPS on the last phase, it's like when you're forced to turn away from the boss, Warlocks and Shadow Priest are like the only 2 classes in the game that can actually DPS. It's a bit of a limitation on the fight, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, you really only need... I mean, the best way to do that fight is just take enough melee to keep the ads in check and just have the melee just on the ads full time and cleaving Yogg. That's really the best way, because if you have a ton of melee, all you're doing is keeping the ads at bay and then being able to turn here and there to DPS the boss. It's a real pain in the butt for melee.
Yeah.
Oh, and for most casters too. Like, most casters have to face the boss to DPS.
Yeah, is it most casters?
It's just reflection locks, basically.
Well, and don't forget about Shadow Priests. Mind Flay.
Mind Flay is kind of a short cast. They still have to turn quite often. It's really affliction.
And who's stacking Shadow Priests? Let's be real.
I mean, they're good, but you just don't bring 5 of them. With affliction locks. But the last phase, the DPS check is just really high, and you just don't have much time before the ads start killing people. I mean, in our attempts, we have this tactic where we have hunters distracting, shotting the ads away from the boss, running to the corners. All the melee have target dummies. The tank's sprinting away with nitro boost, everything to buy the wall time to kill the boss. It's a really fun fight. Don't get me wrong. If you kill it, well, eventually when you do, it's really good. But it is hard.
Speaking of target dummies,
did you guys do it?
Well, it took about 70 or 80 wipes.
Oh wow!
Damn.
Who got the mount? Did you get the mount, WillE?
No. I mean, maybe eventually. To be honest, I'll just give me Invincible. You can keep Mimron's head; it's fine. Just when Invincible drops, I can save myself for that. I'm fine. Invincible. It's kind of loud, Mimron's head, isn't it?
Is it?
It's just so cool.
All the mechanical mounts are. Just hand Invincible. That's all I ask. Not much.
Oh man! Well, you said target dummies. That reminds me of an adventure that I did this week. So I learned how to solo the ad skip to Mimron for the guild. So I'm a rogue, and just to let everybody know, I guess a ton of people knew this, but I did not know this. engineers have, besides the exploding belt, what are they called? The exploding belt tinkers. You also have
drag belt or something,
yeah. You also have one that stuns mechanical mobs, and it's a huge area of effect AOE stun. So I put that on my belt because the exploding belt shares a cooldown with your sappers and your bombs. So there's no reason to even have that. So I put that on my belt. Also got like normal level 1 target dummies. And so what you do is you're able to just go regular stealth through the first pack. Second pack, you sprint, pop your belt and the target dummy in the middle. It stuns everything. You vanish. You wait 3 minutes. You do the same to the next pack. And you don't even have to actually wait for it vanish for the next pack. You could just sprint through, stun, target dummy, and then use your rocket boots to just take off in the tram before the ads get to you. But I did it the super safe way because it was my first time. And I wanted to make sure that I did it right for the raid. And that's a really nice skip. Like, not only do you get to skip the 3 packs, but you also get to skip the whole ride on the tram, which is a significant amount of time saved. And just to let you know, to make the portal active, it's not just taking the tram. You have to go pull the boss. So make sure you go pull the boss and either die or faint or vanish. But yeah, as long as you do that, boom, your whole raid can... You know, and the best way to do it is like while the raid works on Freya trash, you just go do that. And then as soon as then you get back to them for the boss, and then you just use the portal and skip right to Memoron. It's freaking sweet.
Yeah, that's a nice skip, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
if you skip skips? Trash, you don't have the fun of those sapper mobs that die in the watching people, someone always walks into it. It's great.
Dude, it's hilarious. You'll be talking about it.
Don't stand in the blue. Don't stand in the blue.
Big blue explosion. The raid leader saying don't go near, and someone just walks into it every time.
Always. Yeah. Every time.
I mean, we like tell people not to, and then you're like, oh, Timmy's getting close.
Yeah, he's going.
They killed Kenny.
Somebody's not listening.
It's so good. It's so good. But it does save a lot of time. It'll be interesting to see if Warcraft logs like makes a change to their trash requirements or something. I'm not even sure. I don't do speedrunning, so but I would assume that trash is required. I wonder if they make it not required to kind of make a fun new speed running mechanic for different guilds to do, because it is kind of neat, you know. It was especially neat for me getting to do a mission rather than kill trash, right?
It's a very roguelike, isn't it? You know?
Yeah, I was like, dun, 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 dun.
Style. Yep. I don't know. I guess they'll decide eventually what trash is required. There's not a ton that's skippable that I think about.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe the big guardians, like... What if on Hodia, people like invisibility part or something and managed to skip half of it?
Really?
It could do, I guess.
Because that trash is annoying. It always seems, it always seems to like
stupid worms. They just take forever.
Yeah, and like you get double pulls, and then if you stay to one side, you don't pull the other side worms. But there's always some warlock running over there on the other side.
Yeah. At this point, I think we just have the tanks run ahead and like pull 3 or 4 of them. Some of the revenants. Probably not a giant with that because you can wipe, but yeah.
The worms are annoying though because they come out like one at a time, right? So it's not even like you can pull them all at once. It's like, here's one, a couple seconds, here's another. It's like, oh my god.
Like, please, just I want to go fight boss.
It's good stuff. I just got reminded that WillE is not a paladin. He is a warlock.
Oh, I was a paladin. Once upon a time, back in TVC, briefly.
But I just
But
changed
I'm not
your
part of
little
the ret gang
background
anymore. I'm not celebrating about the ret buffs, which we'll get onto later, I guess.
Yep, definitely. So all of the hard modes, we dropped. Oh, I don't want to give it away. I don't want to give away spoilers, but we dropped three new ones this week. But we tried Flame Leviathan, and a couple friends of mine, including Scotty, Jay, and Corpse, who has been on the show, were like, "Yeah, it's pretty straightforward as long as you watch, Jordy's video." I don't know if 25 man's different, but we tried it in 10 man. And boy, there was just a lot of shit going on. Like, it was really hard for me to keep damage on the boss.
We did it in 10 man, right? Because Bob was leading and he didn't know that if you talked to one of the guys that started hard mode.
Yeah, that was the week before. Like when I was, I'm talking about last night when we did it.
Oh, okay.
And we tried to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I think we could have gotten it. I think it was just trying to figure out the mechanics of it. Because it's like, normal mode is just so easy that like it was like, oh, we actually have to think and do different things. Okay.
Yeah, there's actually you can wipe. Unlike a normal mode where it's like you just fire one pyrite barrel and the boss explodes or something.
I know.
Like, what happens on normal.
It's so fast on normal.
Flame Leviathan is actually quite hard. I don't think it's straightforward at all. It's really chaotic. Like if you lose a demolisher, you just wipe. Straight up. There's no coming back from it. You'll get overwhelmed.
Well, and I don't know.
I think sorry, go on.
Oh, I was just gonna say, it seemed like the light beams that freeze you from the sky. I watched a ton of videos, and it seemed like there were the same amount of light beams in 10 man that they were in 25 man, and I was just spending my entire time running from the light beams, and like it was a real pain to keep pyrite up on the boss because I'm just constantly trying to run because of these stupid light beams.
Yeah. It is a really chaotic fight. What we do is we actually have assigned corners, and we have each demolisher chopper group actually go to their own bit on Discord, so they can speak between one another on 25 at least.
Oh, smart.
So you can say, okay, load now, fire me. I'm coming off the Flame Leviathan. I'm on this side of it, and so on and so forth.
Really smart.
So it's not. Otherwise, it's a mess. Like it's a big mess because there's a lot going on Flame Leviathan.
That's a really smart idea. Yeah, I like that. I'll have to mention that to our raid leads. One tip
that helps us.
So I tried the demo, and our friend LZ found out something. I would have never found this out because I don't even have these buttons keybinded. But the opposite of how your character works is how the vehicles work. I don't know if all of them work the same, but at least the Demolisher keyboard turning is actually almost instant, whereas mouse turning is really slow. So I don't even have keyboard turn bound. I only have strafe left and right bound. So, but I tried it. I just rebound for that fight, and you literally turn almost instantly with keyboard turning. And if you try to turn with your mouse, no matter how fast you move the mouse, you still turn slow. So if you're trying to kite and run and try to do a quick 180 to shoot a pyrite and go back 180 to keep running, it saves you literally seconds, like each time, like a good 3 to 4 seconds, which is huge. Well, maybe 2 seconds, but two seconds when you're getting chased by a light is huge.
Well, some love for the keyboard turners out there.
I know. I would have never known.
I don't have strafe bound. I unbound it a long time ago, and I think it's good, but I'm just not used to using it, so I don't. I just hold down right click if I want to strafe. I've done that for a very long time, so I just have it for me now.
You mean turn? Strafe is where you just walk like right.
Yeah, like
side
keybinds
step.
Strafe, and then there's keybinds for just turning. So I don't have strafe bound.
Oh, you don't strafe, huh? With
I
the
don't
keys.
have it bound. I hold down right click and then move. It strafes.
Weird.
But I don't actually have a keybind for it.
Oh, see, I only turn with right with right click. I only turn with that, and then I strafe. So I'm basically holding down D or A to strafe, and then I'll just kind of like right click and just kind of rotate just around stuff. Interesting.
Yeah.
And I
yeah,
never
it's just
knew.
different ways to do
Yeah,
things.
I never knew you could strafe that way.
Yeah, I've just done it for like that for such a. I mean, I don't use WSD. I use ESDF for keybinds.
That's smart. I've
people
heard
that
a
do
lot
that.
of people that do that.
Yeah, because I thought a long time ago when I was teaching myself to keybinds, I was like, wow, if I do this, I can press more keys on my keyboard rather than having my hand so far left. It's only kind of annoying when every other game in existence ever always uses WASD. So, yeah.
Yeah.
You learn to use it.
I just bought a 12-button mouse, and so it took a while to get used to, but now I couldn't live without it. It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, there's some people who use those weird 3D mice or trackpads and stuff, and they play fine, and you're like, how do you do this? It's
right.
Like, if you do something for long enough, you get used to it, and it works for you.
Do you know what I added into my repertoire recently? I don't even know if that's the right word, but I added in 2-foot pedals.
Do you have them?
Yep, they're freaking awesome. Like I use on the Rogue, I use one of them for kick, and then one of them for tricks on DPS, and then on the Warrior, I use one of them for back pedal, and because you do that a lot as a main tank. And then I use the other one as a modifier key. So I think the best use of it would be using it as modifier keys, like as Control and Alt, rather than doing Control and Alt. I think that would be the best use for it. But I like kick and I like tricks, the DPS for it.
Kick in game and you kick in real life.
I know, that's what I keep thinking too. I'm gonna look over at Bob and he's like,
beat the crap out of the foot pedal.
It's actually awesome. It's completely awesome. The only thing that sucks is that sometimes I like to put one leg under my other leg up, in my chair. And so then I have to switch the foot that's doing the controlling. But because I do it just like I would driving, I don't use both feet. I just use one foot.
Yeah.
But I can't believe I never thought of using one for gaming ever before, because it's huge. You're not doing anything with your feet, and you just get an extra, very quickly hit button.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
I don't know.
Again, if it works, then it works.
Yeah, it is awesome. It is awesome. So yeah, if anybody has never thought about that, it's freaking cool. So. What else did I want to ask? So Algalon. So they recently did a change where they changed the way everything looked, because it used to be like all see-through and glowy, and now I guess they changed it. How's that change been? Because I know you probably saw it on both different versions.
Yeah, so on the PTR, the visuals on the Algalon fight were very bugged. When he goes into the fight proper, the room goes very dark on the floor, and it becomes quite easy to see the mechanics. On the PTR, the floor remained very bright, and the one of the mechanics called Cosmic Smash, which are like these little void zones. They explode after a bit. If you're standing in the void zone, you take massive damage and get knocked up. It's kind of like a one-shot. And then they have drop-off damage the further you are away. On the PTR, you just couldn't see them. They were hidden, which made it very difficult to dodge them. But yeah, they updated that for the live game, which is good, and very easy to see now. So yeah, if you stand in one now and get hit by it, then you're going to know about it, but you also should have moved, kind of thing.
Awesome. Yeah, well, I look forward to seeing that. I know we're really close on 10-man. We had a group last night. Again, I don't want to get into too many spoilers, but we just destroyed Hardmodes. Like, we one-shot 2 new ones we had never done in 10-man. We had a massive group of just crazy good heals, tanks, and DPS, and it was a glorious run. Like, I felt like it, like I was, Jordy or Ruggs or,
Yeah, I mean, it feels good, doesn't it? When
Yeah.
you start getting these, because, gee, I mean, when week 3 now, like week 3 next, you had already killed everything twice, if not 3 times by now, and you're still progressing. It's nice to have that.
Yeah, you done it all in one day too. Like, you know, like you never did 2 days of them next, right?
Yeah, for sure. So it's have you got any like bosses you found the most fun so far, or ones you don't like?
I really love Memoron just because there's so much going on, so many different phases, and I actually enjoy Yogg quite a bit for my role in it, because there's just a lot of stuff you're doing that's just not straight up parsing. Like, in the brain room, I'm doing like the rogue, armor pen, and I'm doing a lot of kicks that are important, and I'm doing things that aren't, maximizing my DPS, but it feels good because I'm doing a role that is needed for the raid, and like it feels neat, like to do that, like. So I'm in. What else bosses I hate? Not a big fan of Hodir. Like Hodir, especially as a melee, like I think I'd enjoy it more if I was a caster, but I don't know, maybe not. I'm not a huge fan. Tanking it, I don't mind at all. But
yeah, it's fairly interesting on tank. You have to manage cooldowns and stuff, and you're not just autopilot. You're trying to move into the right position, and the stuff going on as a tank.
Iron Council is really fun, I think. The different modes. I have yet to do hardest mode. I've done medium and normal, but I think that one's pretty fun. But yeah, what about you?
I mean, I like pretty much most of the hard modes. I think Iron Council is quite fun. When you try the Steelbreaker version, it's quite different from Orgheim, like getting that clean transition. But the last phase can be very punishing. Like if anyone dies apart from a tank, you just instantly wipe. So it is quite punishing, but it's fun at the same time.
We tried it on hard mode, I think, once, right, Bob?
Yeah, we were trying to do medium mode wrong. We tried to kill little guy, then Steelbreaker, then medium guy, when we should have killed Steelbreaker, little guy, medium guy. But we also had like a fairly undergeared at that point, like Pally taking Stormbreaker, and Pally is really good, but at the same time, like, yeah, they do have their one get out of jail free card with the free I didn't die, but they don't mitigate as much damage as a warrior or a DK, and they don't and they at least physical damage. So a warrior, take that out of this, because like this is I believe it's magic damage that's the punch, but a DK mitigates that amazingly. A druid just has a ton of health, so they can actually take the hit, so a paladin gets 2 of those and you're done, and the runes spawn really quick, and bad RNG, no matter how fast you move them out of the rune, you might just get smacked.
Yeah, I mean, that happens on Iron Council. Sometimes he spawns the rune as he's doing fusion punch, and if your tank doesn't press shield wall, they're dead. And there's nothing you can do. That's just the fight. Yeah,
I mean, and a warrior has that. The Pally has one, they die. But like, I mean, even a druid with the full health, I don't think can take a full hit if they're in the rune. The rune's just kind of like a real pain.
It's a bit RNG, like it's have nature aura on. Big tip for that, and use Flask of Resistance too if you're struggling.
That's a good call. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, a lot of guilds have been doing that, progressing up. Lesser Flask of it's like 50 extra resistances, I think. Because there's a lot of fights where there's a lot of just random magic damage happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and a resistance potion, like the ones that just do a certain amount of damage, aren't going to help you because they're like, I can't remember, 2 or 4K worth of damage worth, or maybe they're more now. But either way, this is like,
ones,
this is
So,
like a
you can use
40,
them on
50K thing, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, you can use them on Algalon?
Yeah. We can talk about in a moment, but yeah, I mean, I like Iron Council. I think that's a fun fight. When you start progressing it and you get really clean transitions and you actually just blast the bosses, you can like really feel the power upgrades you get from gear and stuff, so that's fun. Again, like you said, I like Mimron a lot. I think it's a really well designed fight. It's probably my favorite fight in the instance overall.
Really?
And we haven't done Firefighter yet, but I hear there's a way for like a druid healer to tank the fire. Like I've seen like clips of people doing it where they've got the fire corralled in one like far fourth right of the room.
The fire chases you, and there can be several spawns at once. So if you can see where it's spawned, you can make them go after you.
And then you take the other fire towards it or something?
Yeah, so basically you just stand near... If you stand near the fire, it will chase you and spawn where you are. So if you know it's... I mean, if you're the closest person, it will come after you. So basically you can just deal with it as one person if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
But yeah, it adds a ton of damage to the fight on a firefighter. When you get around to it, it's probably one of those fights which will go... It seems like a bit of a DPS check. The phase 2, you want a heroism and absolute... The turret in phase 2 deals unreal amounts of damage. Like, it hits hard and normal.
Yep.
On a hard mode, it hits... it's really, really hard. And then you have... I'm the demo lock in the guild, so I tank the head on the phase 3 when it's flying about. Which is kind of fun. I always like tanking stuff on a lock. It's like some additional thing, which
it's kind of cool.
You don't always get a chance to do, but historically, warlocks have occasionally tanked things, and I always find that kind of cool when I can do that, do something extra for the raid. And then in the last phase, all the different parts combined together. There's fire everywhere. There's firebots with a silence aura. There's mines, shock blast, the laser barrage, hand pulse, the headshot, rocket barrage, frost bomb. I think that's everything. Yeah, basically, there's a lot going on, and half of it will instantly kill you. It's a really good fight. I
can't imagine I can't imagine what assault bots are like in hard mode, because in normal mode 25, like those things clap tanks.
Yeah, I mean, if they reach you, you die pretty much.
Speaking of which,
never get to anyone. We have a DK DPS, just chains of ice, and then people stun them.
Yeah, I do kidney shot, and sometimes I'll switch my what's it called? I just found that new belt enchant, and that belt enchant is an AOE stun to mechanicals. So it's an extra 2-minute CD stun that every engineer in the raid could use. If every engineer has it, like,
pretty good.
It could be really cool.
Yeah. But yeah, Mimron it's a really good fight. It's a lot of fun. Your first kill will probably go completely down to the wire with things getting out of control, but it's not. Phase 2 is a DPS check because the turret just kills you because it does way too much damage. The last phase isn't a DPS check. It's like the biggest awareness check ever. Like, you'll get randomly one shot by something and you'll be like, ah, crap, I didn't see it. Like this restart, I got one shot by a frost bomb because I was tanking the turret and like trying to run through mines and I just didn't see it. It's a good fight.
I went to go try to give my warlock PI, and he wasn't in my range, and so like I was like just moving towards him, and I ran into a mine. That was great. Yeah,
but it's good. In terms of stuff, I'm not a biggest fan of Hodir, and I play a lock, like a demo lock, obviously, so they can do really well on the fight. It's just our first kill ever on Hodir. We're starting. We've done a bit on the PTR, so we have some idea how the fight works. We started off that we do a few polls. They kind of go okay, nothing great. We're like 15 or 20% off a kill. The next pull we get, everything just goes perfect. Like the fire spawns next to the range. Then we have 2 beams coming down in front of the range, which are like just a bit apart from each other, so we can run between the 2 beams. And then we have the storm cloud go on the range groups. They don't even have to move to do maximum damage. And we went from about 20% off to a kill out of nowhere because we got lucky. I don't know. There's too much RNG in the fight, and the way the mechanics are visually displayed to the players also really poor. Like, you don't know you're in range of a fire. You don't get the stacking dot anymore that does damage to you, but you don't know you're in range. There's nothing to tell you are. And like the stinge stacks from the fire on the boss, they can get lost in the debuffs. Like you have to have that active, and you just don't know if it's up. It's like, I don't know, it's just not well designed visually, but hey, if you can do like near 20k DPS, it's a pretty good fight. Other than that. But yeah, I wish it was just a bit, if the mechanics were a bit clearer, I'll probably be all right with it.
There's probably a weak aura, right?
Oh yeah, I've got the weak auras for it. Yeah. I mean, obviously, you probably manage without, like, I don't need 100 weak auras for every fight to tell me everything that's going on, but if I could just know I just want to know what's going on in the fight without feeling as though I need add-ons to tell me what's happening.
Agreed.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. I mean, I kind of understand the fight now, so I don't need them as much, but yeah, when I was learning it was frustrating, and I didn't like it very much. But yeah. It's the same on when you try mirror on hard mode, there are these bots that run around and put the fires out in the 3rd and 4th phase, and they have a 15-yard silence aura around them. Oh. And sometimes, I mean, if you're playing a rogue, it won't matter, but they sort of run up to you and they don't silence you despite being like next to you, and then they run away from you, and then they randomly start silencing you, and you get permanently silenced, and they're like 20 yards away and you're still silenced.
Wait a minute.
It is not consistent at all. that also drives me kind of mad, but yeah.
Because it's like, how do I avoid this?
Yeah. It's like, it's meant to be 15 yards, but they're sprinting about, so.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, and I know General Vezax almost seemed easier on hard mode than on regular mode because people weren't killing themselves.
You know why? Yeah, because people are conscious about how much damage they're taking because the healers won't be able to heal them. Because when we did it not hard mode, let me tell you how much damage those ranged were taking from those.
Yeah, just pushing that parse.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I didn't mind Vez. I don't know. I just want to play my class normally, not run around and start wanding and things.
Oh my gosh, it's so okay. Much running.
Yeah, it's like, move out. Okay, then move out. Okay, run back, move out. Okay, run back, get the mark. Okay, I'll run out again.
Yep.
See, I'm a melee DPS, and I'm like, kick.
Yeah, melee, just chilling. It's like, okay, I kicked twice. Yeah, that's the fight.
Kick.
Yeah.
I mean, I do spice it up a little bit because I'm a combat rogue, so I gotta like time when I'm gonna put in my my killing spree in between kicks, and then I have to move back into position. But I
just want you to come watch when we do it when I'm on my priest, because I have to be with the melee or with the range, right? So it's chaos. It's better now. Like, we have it better. Like, the first time we did it, it was like so chaotic. This time, like, we have it better set up now, but it's still, you're standing in the same spot for maybe 2 seconds at a time.
Yeah.
And then randomly you'll get like the shadow bolt things will go on the other group for like 4 or 5 in a row. And then they'll start coming on your group and you're like, yeah. And then it's so much running back and forth. Luckily, I just have to shield people, so it doesn't really matter.
It's like, go away, stand over there, boys.
Right.
Also to be one group.
I guess one tip for melee is make a focus kick back row for general, because when you're killing the animus, you're still going to need to kick on 25 man. On 10 man hard mode, the animus or general doesn't do the cast. You don't have to kick during the animus mode. So that was something new I found out last night.
We didn't.
Yeah,
We
it
have
could have
only
been
done it
bugged
once.
maybe, but it just seems like it probably isn't a thing you have to do on 10 man.
Oh, yeah, I
don't
didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't really pay attention. I just when you see a cast go off, you're like, oh, stupid melee. Go back to pressing Shadow Bolt. I don't know, that's what I did. Yep, that's my job.
Yeah.
Man.
I just go into shield everybody.
Yeah.
You know?
You were saying you
Little
didn't
shield
like
pot over here.
Hodir the pre-show. You weren't a big
Yeah.
You weren't a big fan of that one.
Yeah, we talked about Hodir.
Did we talk about? I thought it was in pre-show. Did we
Yeah.
talk about that on the show? Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, just covered on it. Apart from that though, it's any other fights stand out. I guess XT. Are we going to talk about that later?
Oh no, go ahead.
Changes.
Yeah, go ahead.
So obviously XT-002 Deconstructor is the hardest boss ever in Classic. It turns out he was never beaten on hard mode.
That's crazy to me.
Well, never beaten until nerfed, right? Like he was nerfed eventually during the phase.
Yeah,
I thought
he was the only boss to be actually nerfed on the PTR as well. So he's been nerfed twice.
Wow.
And they absolutely. So basically, the week one, I thought, okay, that all the guilds capable of doing XT aren't going to do XT because A, he's not needed for any of the achievements like Death's Demise or anything like that, and B, he's not needed for any like server first. So all the guilds capable of doing XT are going to say, we'll do it next week, whatever. Who cares, right? And then week two comes around, and the best guilds in the world start attempting XT, and they can't get him past like 30%, which is nowhere near, like not even remotely close. And these are the absolute top guys in the game. And yeah, I think Blizzard saw them getting the boss to like 30%, and they're like, yeah, no one's doing this. Like,
Yeah,
no one's
this is not going to happen.
Yeah, this just ain't happening. People aren't going to gradually work towards it. They're going to say, yeah, sorry, if your bis is from XT, unlucky. Look at what your second bis is.
Right. Cross that one off.
Yeah. I think a big reason, you can definitely say they over nerfed it. I didn't think they needed to change 10 man. 10 man wasn't a problem. It was definitely on the higher difficulty scale for 10 man. So maybe they could have toned it down a little bit. On 25 man overall, they've taken about 30 million between all the different phases health off the boss, which is crazy. It's like nearly half his health.
Yeah, it went from
the biggest nerfs I've ever seen in a boss ever.
Went from the actual the base health. Wait, is that right? No,
I remember the base health was 25 to 18 million.
Yeah, 25 to 18.
It was 47 to 25.
Yeah, 47.5 million to 25.2 million. So there was a pretty.
So just imagine
almost
that.
half.
They've got 20 million health off it. 20 million. Like other bosses don't even have half that amount of health to begin with. That's how overtuned this fight was. Yeah, so it was too big of a number. It wasn't going to happen in any kind of reasonable time frame. So they ended up nerfing it. I never tried it pre-nerf either because the guild realized it was a waste of time. Basically, it wasn't possible.
I remember progressing on it back in the day, and it was just like, this is crazy. And we just end up giving up. I mean, we had killed Yogg-Saron before we ever dropped XT, and XT was super late in the phase when we were super geared.
But yeah, I think the reason behind the nerf, if like the nerf seems severe, and the reason why they've nerfed it, I think a big part of it is where XT is located in the raid, which maybe everyone isn't taking into account, because say XT was where Oriaya is. When you have access to Oriaya, you have access to like every single boss in the instance bar just Algalon. Do you even need to kill Oriaya to be able to do Vezax and Yogg? I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think you could just reset
her
or walk past her.
Yeah. So it'd be kind of a pain in the ass if she was lucky, if that was the boss that was that hard. But you need to do XT to get into Ulduar. Like, you have to do him. He's in a really bad position to be a roadblock of a boss.
Well, and
I think that's a big reason why I got nerfed so hard.
But they shouldn't have nerfed his easy mode. Like, because his easy mode is just even, like, it was silly before. Like, now it's just literally, you're just always in heart phase and you don't do any mechanic in the entire fight because you get to heart before he does a ground pound. You have to stop DPS on the heart without any like cooldowns or lust. And then it's just literally the heart comes out, heart goes back in, heart comes out, heart goes back in, heart goes out. It's like, it's crazy silly. They should have left normal mode normal, I think.
Yeah, I think they could have left 10-man. Maybe take a little bit of health off 10-man. It was disproportionate for where it is in the instance, but yeah. Still, so I did 10-man pre-nerf. That was okay. We had a good group that night. Again, I could have seen them taking a bit of health off that. We were close to the enrage. And then I'd done the 25-man post-nerf. It's still not entirely free. It's changed from a DPS check to like a healer check. It's a really healing intensive fight. There's a lot of raid damage going out. It's definitely not free. But I'd say it's kind of maybe the third hard mode. After like Thorim, Freya, probably XT, that kind of range.
I don't know what you do. So we had 2 paladins. We had a Ret and we had three paladins, but the Ret didn't have raid sack spect. So we only had 2 raid sacks. And the 10-man, the 2 raid sacks we were able to hit every ground pound with it on hard. But I don't know what you do if you only have one paladin. Like,
yeah, I mean,
unless you're like all ranged. If you're all ranged, maybe you're okay. I don't know. How far does ground pound go? Like, does it hit the range?
Oh, everybody gets ground pounded.
Okay. Yeah, but then I don't know what you do.
Disc or Tranquility or Personals or Healthstone. The big danger on XP,
him maybe.
Big tip is when the ground pound or tantrum, whatever you want to call it, is going off, and somebody has gravity bomb, bop them. It'll stop the ground pound damage and allow them to move without getting snared. Because the gravity bomb and tantrum will kill people. Because gravity bomb hits for a lot.
That's a good call.
So
dude, in
your bops on that.
In our 10-man last night, there was one guy who got Searing Light, gravity bomb, Searing Light. Like, it was the same person
got everything.
I'm not kidding you, like 7 or 8 in a row.
Yeah, I got one light, and that was it for the entire fight. Like,
on our 10-man one before the nerf, we had a shaman healer they must have got about 8 mechanics in a row. It was great. No one else had to move. Like,
right.
Probably why we got the DPS check.
We were like, Stormex, you're our hero. MVP.
They were just sitting at the side, tanking. But yeah, hard mode definitely kill the sparks really fast, or they will kill you, and bop whoever gets gravity bomb during well. And apart from that, hit the boss.
Yep.
Yeah, I was having a blast on that. I parsed like a 97 in 10-man. I mean, I know like 10-man parses are lame, but I felt good about it. Dang it.
Yeah. Hey, you see like purple or whatever, that's good. Okay, question. Who's getting your Val'anyr and how many fragments do you have?
Our holy
Not
paladin
priest.
is going to get it.
This priest is
I know.
Unfortunately. Ours kind of a grief, but yeah.
Ours works out really good because in my opinion, the best class and spec to give it to is a holy paladin, right? But our holy paladin main one is an officer. She is amazing. She does all our gems for us. She's done loot in the past and TPC. She's been one of the best members of our guild since week 1 of raiding in Vanilla Classic. So perfect candidate to get it. She didn't get she wasn't one of the healers that got the legendary back in Vanilla. So yeah, well deserved, as long as probably the smartest class spec to give it to. So we're in a good spot.
Yeah. Do you know how many fragments you got, like week 1 or 2?
I was gonna log on and look.
Yip would know. We got a good amount the first week. I know that because we only got one in our second raid that I tank, but I think we got 3 the first week, and maybe 2 or 3 the second week. I don't remember how. I know we got a few this week because I remember seeing them on the boss, but I don't always look on every boss.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying it because, week 1 when we did nearly every hard mode and Yogg-Saron, we got 1 off Yogg. Because you always get 1 off Yogg. Literally 1. And then we did an alt 25-man and was going to a shaman in that. And I think he got 5 or 6.
Wow.
So yeah, the fragment RNG is real.
Yeah, well, I guess you have more of a chance to get it with hard mode. So with us not doing any PTR and only progressing 5 hours a week, 2.5 hours each of the day we do it, I think we've gotten pretty lucky for the amount of hard modes that we've actually done compared to other people.
Yeah, I don't know if it is higher chance, but yeah.
Who's getting it in your raid?
Oh, so the main one, it's Paladin, who's been with the Holy Pally, has been with the raids forever. And after that, I don't know. I think we're probably going to aim to get a few of them. But second one might go to a druid. I don't know personally. But in the alt raid, at least the one I was in, because there's a few. Oh no, there's only one. I'm thinking of 10 mans. But yeah, in the alt raid, just going to a shaman. Which, to be honest,
healer?
anyone apart from Disc Priest is a pretty good candidate. It's just Holy Paladin's kind of OP. And Disc Priest don't really heal through healing. They just shield people. They stop damage from happening. So, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
like
bummer.
They have Val'anyr proc all the time. That's how they heal.
Yeah, and there's, basically a Holy Paladin. I don't know about the other ones, but a Holy Paladin, that's going to be BIS for a long time because of the proc, way longer than a Disc Priest. If you're just looking at the stats, right? There's going to be other stuff that's, comparable or better. Whereas with that proc on Holy Priest or on Holy Paladin, that's just going to be nuts for.
Yeah, I mean, Disc, it's just you just want big spell damage, spell power number.
Yep.
As far as I know,
which it definitely has.
Quite a lot of overhealing. So,
wait, Pally's doing quite a lot of overhealing. Discipline Priests don't, right?
Yeah. I mean, Disc is kind of it's very efficient healing because of the absorbs.
Yeah.
But they just generally heal through stopping damage in the first place.
Pretty cool.
I can't find anything on our RCW Council history isn't working.
Yeah, well,
I don't know.
I'm not
I
sure.
think we've got 10. I could be way off though.
I think we have a good amount, but we got to progress, to Algalon before it matters. The worst case would be you collect them all and you don't have Algalon down yet. That'd be rough, right?
Yeah. I mean, you don't need to. It's not like it's Atiesh where you have to kill the end bosses to get bits of it.
What was I was going to ask you.
And you get the mace.
So we leave on one light, we leave Thorum up. What's Thorum's buff? I don't even remember from back in the day. I don't even know
ads,
if I knew
right?
back in the day.
Yeah,
Isn't there ads that help kill?
Yeah, he makes it so you can kill the ads in the last phase.
Because you can only make him shrink in the last phase if he's not there, right? You can't actually kill him.
That's the problem on Zero Lights, because the boss puts buffs on them and stuff, and you have to kite them.
Oh, so you kite them. I thought you could damage them enough down to where they were smaller, but you couldn't kill them. Something like
pretty
that.
much, yeah. But yeah, his boss sends out this buff, which I really know exactly how it works. I'm a warlock and I just hit the boss, but basically the buff goes off and it like heals everything around it, and he can heal the boss as well and put like a huge heal over time effect on him, which is really bad. You're already on a DPS check.
Oh, yeah.
And you just get overwhelmed eventually. Yeah,
Awesome.
I think it just gives you some bonus health and makes it so you can kill the ads.
Is there anything else you want to touch on Ulduar before we move into the news?
No, we're good. I might just nip away for a sec, actually.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll here. I'm gonna do this. For the Horde. It's gonna be my marker for.
I was like, what are you doing?
It's where I'm gonna cut in post. What's up, chat? Your guild has 7. Yeah, I don't think. How many hard modes have you done, Sabotage? Because I think if you've done hard modes, like that's not good, but not hard modes, I don't think that's too bad. Damn, 4 fragments and 3 clears. Jeez, go. You guys are not having a good time there at all. Oh, and Sevlar, thank you for the Prime 2 months. And Nest Jr., thank you for the Prime 2 months. Awesome, guys. You guys are too kind. That is a rough drop rate. Ooh.
I'll be right back.
Oh no. All by myself. All by myself. No, I'm not by myself. I got chat here. Your bad legendary luck. Oh, go. Go. Dude, you could have like a catchphrase. Go, classic go. Just like go, Gadget, go from Inspector Gadget. Oh, dude, probably nobody knows about it. Inspector Gadget. I think it was on reruns when I was a kid. So. Ooh, I need to trim my beard here. I'm all lopsided. Really lopsided. Wow. Maybe I just need to brush it. OCE servers, we've only been in Ulduar 3 times on 25 because the release date's public. We've only been in 3 times also. It's only the Chinese servers that get the extra lockout. Because they have, their server resets are on Fridays. So they get the extra lockout. I believe OCE and EU, we all have only had 3 lockouts. Like you've only had 3 also, right?
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, this is the 3rd.
Yeah, it's the Chinese servers that always were the ones that got an extra lockout because the raid would come out on Thursday, their resets are on Friday, so they would get hooked up. But yeah, the Chinese servers are down right now, huh? I believe there's still some Chinese servers, just the main Chinese servers are down. Because I know there was one guild that moved, like they literally moved in real life to another part of China so that they could still have servers for Ulduar. And they I guess they're on different servers. So they had to move, re-roll all their tunes and work all of them up and get max gear with very little time left. All right. Okay. So now we're back. I'm going to go in we're just flowing. All right. Well, let's move into the news. Time for the news. All right. First up in the news, we talked about the XT Deconstructor nerf and changes. And yeah, that hit. That's part of the news. Was it? Do you think it was too soon though? We didn't actually ask that. Like, I think it was too soon. Like, with the amount of gear that's out in most raids and stuff right now.
I think the fact that the best skills in the world still couldn't do it, I think it was too much too soon, but I think they had to do something.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's the second boss if you're going as fast as you can through the raid, and it's optional. I mean, it's weird. Like, people said, that the world first Ulduar was done in like an hour and a half, but I mean, all the hardmodes were never done. It's just it's a really weird scenario that you have to approach, kind of unique to Classic. I don't necessarily think it was too soon, but maybe a bit overly heavily handed to take like 50% of the health off.
Right.
Because Flame Leviathan is the first boss in the instance, and the hard mode on that, I think, is harder than Freya or Thorim, and now pre-nerf and post-nerf XT. So like the position of the bosses on hard mode is never really equals how difficult that boss is going to be.
Right.
See, I almost wish that this fight, or just like maybe not just this fight, but I wish this was the last fight of the dungeon that dropped all hard mode gear, and I wish it wasn't killable until everybody got geared up. I think that would be cool. Then world first would be really neat to see how many splits everybody ran in the big guilds and how much they tried to kill themselves to make this DPS check that's impossible without gear. That would have been neat, just to see a boss, that people are, or they could have just changed it to where the hard mode did drop all 252 gear and just left it how it is, and then like once people could get it down, they could have that gear, like it would incentivize people to keep throwing keep throwing tries at it rather than just being like, nope, you don't get those pieces are gone. Like, if the loot table was huge and there was a ton everybody wanted from it and it dropped all 252, I think it would have been a kind of a neat thing to keep in. And then the first guild that dropped them would have been really neat. They would have been probably really geared. And it might have been something that, only 3% of the population ever drop. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy.
I mean, it's I think it's positioning in the raid I was mentioning before.
Yeah,
and being the second boss just isn't. It's just not a great place to have a roadblock in the raid. Bit unfortunate.
Yeah,
it wasn't a roadblock in the sense that it didn't stop you from completing the rest of the hard modes or Algalon or things like that, right? So
that would have been horrible if you had to get through the hard mode to get to the rest of the people. Yeah. That kind of reminds me of
a roadblock in the sense that if you did want to do that boss, you have to do that boss before you can access the rest of the tiers upgrades for the week, which would go a huge way to helping on a DPS check.
Right.
Yeah, reminds me of the whole problem we had in SSC and TK, where like all the gear that anybody wanted was on Lady Vash and Kill Jaden, and like you were getting no gear every week from all the other bosses. Like, it was just getting disenchanted.
I mean,
like
tier 5 was kind of okay because like the end bosses were the roadblocks. It's like you've done everything up to that, so that's kind of okay for them to be hard because that's the final challenge, not the second boss. Imagine when you went to Serpent Shrine Cavern, it's like you get to, I don't know, it was a non-linear raid, but Leotheris the Blind, and it's like impossible in our DPS. It'd just be messed up.
Yeah, it was just the problem was the gearing. Like, lots of the set bonuses weren't any good. Like, you just weren't.
It was impossible.
Yeah, you just weren't getting any gear was the problem there. Like, So you weren't actually getting more powerful each week to do more attempts. You were literally just like, okay, we're not going to get anything better. We just have to beat this the way it is if we want to beat this, which, there's something to be said that's cool about that too at the same time.
Yeah, I think they could have knocked a bit less of his health total. It's still, like when you go into a fight, you can really still wipe on this. Like it's not an absolute freebie because there's a lot of raid damage going out, like a lot.
Yeah.
The boss hits hard, and if you just ignore the mechanics, you're like, oh, it got nerfed. Like, right, fights never get nerfed in this game. It must be a joke. It'll take you by surprise if you don't organize around it. You don't plan your divine sacrifice in advance. You don't plan Tattlestone stuff. Like you can wipe.
Yeah. Well, a big thing a lot of people are doing is just adding more and more heals, because now with the DPS check being like much lower, I've heard that on 10 man you could 3 and 4 heal and still comfortably beat it before the enrage timer, which kind of trivializes the fight in a sense that it makes it longer, but it's much more safe in the amount of healing that's going out and stuff too, Yeah.
It's like it's like Yogg 1 versus Yogg 0. On the last phase on Yogg 1, the berserk timer is it's a long time. Like you can do like a 15-minute kill on Yogg 1, I swear. I've never not done it personally, but you can take a long time to kill that boss if you want to, because it's safe. You just always face away, you kill the ads, and you just play it patient and you wait. Like you can do that on XT now. Yeah. Whereas before it was like full pedal to the metal, like DPS.
Mm-hmm.
It was just too far off.
Yep, and you were trying to actively be like, how can we drop more heals? Like,
Yep.
Stop trying to get rid of us.
Re-healing that fight on 25. Ooh, that would be tough. And I think before you would have had to 3 heal. I don't think 2 is possible. Unless you have like ICC gear, but like who cares about the fight by then?
Go in chat saying on 10 man he would have to do Tranquility as a boomy on the 3rd stomp, and it absolutely made his life hell having to stop DPS. I feel you there.
For the team, go
right there. Mana rate free. I mean, everyone calls for the boomies innovate, but no one thinks about the boomie.
Chickens will be fine. They'll be fine.
Yeah. Don't worry, it's not classic anymore. You have a mana bar.
Going on to some other news. So last week we told you about the druid cheese that you can do. Well, they came in and quickly. I don't know if we told everybody this, but friend of the show Zyrene is now on the Blizzard team. He got hired a few weeks back. I meant to mention it on the show. So Zyrene is now on the classic team. And, for better or for worse, he's doing, what he feels is right. And I think we have a really good classic-minded person on the team now. So big congrats to him. But he saw this immediately. Yeah, it's pretty cool. He saw this immediately. We pointed it out to him in the creators Discord, which you're in. He was like, yep, we already saw it. And so basically they made a change to the way the set works. The tier 1 set from Molten Core, 8 piece used to do 50% cooldown reduction of Tranquility, which stacked with their new talents in Wrath. I think it changed in Wrath where you could 60% reduce the cooldown of Trank. So now it's only 15%. So it still gives you a little bit of a bump, but it's not like just completely. It's not completely silly like it was before. And now you could probably make the case that it's not worth it when you're losing 8 pieces of huge stat gear for arguably one of the worst, tier sets. Like tier sets for casters. Although, did they rework the Molten Core sets to actually give spell power and crap like that? Like,
yeah,
in
they
TBC?
updated all items.
Yeah, they did.
They'll have spell power instead of.
It's still booty though. I mean, it's still booty compared to the
very
pieces.
low stats.
Yeah.
Low stats. And they'll have resistance on them as well, which are just like wasted stat waiting. They didn't do anything.
Yep. So yeah, so that's basically been fixed. Talked about Deconstructor. What is this other one? Block value socket bonus tooltips for the following items are now consistent. Okay. Yeah, that's basically all of the changes was the Deconstructor and the Druid. We'll call it a fix rather than a nerf because it's definitely an unintended outcome. I guess in retail at some point they just made all old set bonuses not work because they were like, I can't figure this out. Like, there's too much crap you can cheese.
If you look through old set bonuses, a lot of them now just say give X amount of versatility. And yeah, like any percentage stuff can never last because percentages stay relevant.
We're still
they shouldn't. Felt striker.
Right.
Apart from that.
Well, speaking of that, WillE, we've actually 2 weeks in a row now tried to farm a trinket in AQ40 for our druid. The Scarab Brooch, which gives a 15% of what you healed shield to the target.
Val'anyr proc on a trinket.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So
from Visitors, yeah, people use that back in the day on Lich King Heroic, you know.
Well, if they don't nerf it, it's still pretty good. Yeah. So we've been running it for
a reason to.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. That's it's still a great trinket. It's one of those very rare cases where something has a percentage on it and it's okay. Because I don't know, it's okay. Similar to Rogue's Fell Striker. I mean,
which I rock every week.
You survived this long. I think you're gonna be fine.
Which is good because it took me like 120 runs to get that stupid thing.
By the way, I think I know why they haven't nerfed it.
Because it takes 120 runs.
Yeah, that's it. They value your time. That's why. I think it's because it's only relevant on trash. If there was a boss where Fell Striker made a significant difference, I bet it'll be nerfed.
Yeah, I bet you're right. It literally is only on trash.
Like, you want to have fun on trash? Have fun on trash. Like, whatever.
And it's really only good on, like, it was really good in Nax because you're pulling like 30 mobs, right? Like
in ICC, you're going to be doing that again. Like,
oh, really?
Great in ICC, yeah.
Okay, good, because that makes me feel better. Because like in Ulduar right now, there's certain cases like Freya trash, and then like the Hodir when we accidentally pull a bunch of trash, it's real good. But like if we're doing packs of 4, it's better for me to just leave my normal offhand on.
She's saying that it's not going to be like the first pull in a spider wing where there's legitimately like 30 mobs. It's going to be less than ICC, but more than Ulduar. And obviously, Traveler Crusader is we don't have trash, do you? That's one of the things people, you can like about that raid. But
right.
Yeah,
once you go over like
great in ICC,
yeah,
if you haven't found it now, it'll be worth it.
Like over 8 mobs, I would say it's definitely worth. Like that's when it really starts to just really look awesome.
Yeah, but I think if there was ever a boss where it put rogues clearly on top, they might look at it.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So, yeah, if you're a rogue, I would rather it not be good on bosses if I were a rogue. Take the nice trash damage sometimes and be happy with it.
Yeah, the next bit of news isn't really news, but I thought I'd throw it in here because it helped me a ton. It's just a script to exchange badges. Like if you want to exchange your Valor badges for the lower badge, say you want to buy that mount for 200 badges, or you want to buy some heirloom gear and you don't want to click the thing 200 times. With this macro, you can just make a macro, open up the window and just hit the button 200 times. You can spam it pretty fast and it's amazingly better. I wish I would have had this when I traded in all of my BG marks because I had like 99 of all of them And that was a big pain in the butt to trade in because you had to do it one at a time. But yeah, this is really nice for if you guys want to trade those in. So I'll have that in the description of the pod. So make sure you check that out to just make your life a little bit easier. All right. And then what is next? All right. Retribution Paladin buff incoming. So they changed their mind. And they decided to go ahead and buff the Ret Pally. The buffs are as follows. A new major glyph for paladins has been added to the game. Glyph of Reckoning. Your Hand of Reckoning spell no longer taunts the target and can deal damage to untauntable targets. This glyph can be learned from inscription trainers in Dalaran. Second one is the Holy Vengeance and Blood Corruption effects from Seal of Vengeance and Seal of Corruption may now be applied to Divine Storm and Crusader Strike in addition to normal melee hits. Now, I don't know anything about Ret Paladins, so WillE, do you know? I mean, I know the taunt didn't do damage to untauntable targets, and the targets that it did do damage to, you would actually taunt, so it would be a real pain in the ass if you did that to, your raid. So I get that change. I don't get the other change because I just don't play Ret Paladin. So
I'm not sure why they're talking about two separate dots. I think one of them is from some kind of obsolete seal. I think everyone just uses Vengeance now.
Or is it different for Alliance and Horde? Because I know the Seal of Blood is different for Alliance and Horde, right? Like they have different names.
TBC, and it was originally in Wrath. They did have different seals still for the majority of it. Seal of Vengeance, which is what everyone uses now for everything in terms of Ret, was introduced. I think it was in Trial of the Crusader. It was later on, and that's just so when you hit stuff, obviously with melee attacks, it generates a dot on the target. When it reaches 5 stacks, so your judgment gains more damage the more stacks the target has. So it's kind of like a stacking debuff, kind of like Deadly Poison. And then it'll increase your damage, your judgment. As far as I know, the Ret kind of has a glyph spot spare. Having Hand of Reckoning be a damage dealing effect, it's not terribly exciting. As far as I know, you just kind of macro it into every ability and it's off GCD, so it just kind of happens. So it's not very interesting per se, but at least it is a damage buff. But yeah, previously it would taunt targets. There were some fights such as Razor Scale. When you down her, she doesn't attack anyone until 50%.
Yeah.
So you would have been able previously to use on stuff like that, but now you can just macro it into everything.
Yep. You could also use it on like the Hygen dance as long as your tank knew to taunt it as soon as the dance was over, stuff like that.
So yeah, that's going to add a bit. I think the other thing that might be quite good, if Divine Storm is applying the dot from Seal of Vengeance, when you get your tier 10 2-piece, that has a 40% chance on auto attack to reset the cooldown on Divine Storm. So that might bump Rets up on cleave damage a little bit more than you expect.
They were already pretty good on cleave damage.
Yeah, and cleave's kind of the thing with Seal. Actually, you have to use Seal of Command on cleave, don't you?
I have no idea.
Yeah. Oh, you do. I don't know. Basically, it should be a minor DPS buff. I think Blizzard say they wanted or expected Ret to be on par with where Fury Warriors are at the moment, which is, on the lower end of things.
Right.
But the reason they're doing it is because if you did want to DPS as a Ret Paladin, or as a Paladin, you only have one choice, right? If you look at Frost Mage, they have 2 other specs that are great. BM Hunter, that's just not used in PvE. They have 2 other specs, which, survival's good, MM's okay. Rogue, again, you have 2 specs that are great. Ret was kind
I'm
of
glad they didn't make them really great, though, right? Because you have a really good prot and a really good heal spec as a Pele too, right?
Arguably the best overall in both of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you could definitely say that. It's just that if you want to DPS as a paladin, they were quite far behind and weren't expected to really pick up until ICC, to be honest.
See,
You could say the same for warriors. I don't know. Because warriors are meant to be picking up in Ulduar a little bit. I guess when they have Abyss, we'll see what they're capable of doing, but...
I guess where I'm at, and this is where I've always felt, and it kind of pisses me off about DKs and about warriors late and stuff like this. You know, even though I am a warrior, I feel that the way, in a perfect world, the way the game should work, if you're a class that can only play the DPS role, you should always, at every tier, be higher DPS than any class that can play tank, that can play DPS and tank or DPS and heal. Like, especially with dual spec being in the game, because it just makes you a much more valuable player. Like, if you're a DK and you can top the charts in one spec and then tank really well in the other, I think that's bullshit. Like, I really feel that, and I feel like there should be triple spec and there should be 3 layers. If you can do one job, you should be the best at it. You know, so if you're a rogue, hunter, mage, warlock, I think you should be the highest DPS always. If you're something that could be a heal or a DPS or a tank and a DPS, you should be the second highest in that tier. And if you could do all 3, now this is only if you had triple spec, but if you could do all 3, I think you should be third. Like I think boobies and, you know, ferals should always be third because they can do all 3 roles. They can do 4 roles. Like,
yeah.
So it's like, it's just like, that's the way I feel in a perfect world. I just think it's bunk when you have so much versatility. When you didn't have dual spec, like I didn't think it was that big of a deal, but you know, with dual spec, I don't think anybody should be doing more DPS than the pure DPS classes. I think that's their role. Like, and you have the ability to do other stuff.
I think if they do more DPS, I don't think that they should be the best heal or tank, right? Like, I think that's fine. They could be, like, Rets could be really good in Pally tanking or Pally healing was maybe, like, okay. Right? Like, I think that would be fine. But I think, having all 3 be really strong is a struggle. But it doesn't sound like they're...
Yeah, they're not going to be... As far as we think, they're hoping this brings their DPS 10%, which I feel is an okay thing. I mean, they were really bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
So I worry about ICC and that set bonus, but it looks like they're going to keep watching because, like, just looking at some of the DPS from back in the day, like looking at 3 different fights, Retribution was 4th highest, 5th highest, and 6th highest on like Sarfang, Festergut, and Rotface, like over some of the data that our friend of the show, Table Slam, grabbed from old info. You know, but look at on these 2 things, Fury is number 1 on 2 of them, and number 2 on 1 of them. It's just like,
yeah. I can't wait to see it. It feels like I'm not going to believe it when Fury Warriors are always top. It just seems so alien to me right now.
Yeah, it's just, I mean,
like Warriors are like full on in meme territory. They've been there for a while now.
Yep.
I mean, you had Classic when you were like Kings. You had TBC when you were defied expectations, and now it's Wrath. It's like, damn.
You just like, I mean, Combat Rogues.
Abiding their time.
Well, Combat Rogues, Feral Druids, like the big thing in Wrath is like armor pen. Like once you're getting to the point to where your gear is giving you 50% armor, like armor pen, like armor pen's nuts because it's a weird stat that once you get to a certain level, every point of it is more DPS per point. Because like think about it in the opposite sense of how armor works. Like if I put on a piece with 1,000 armor when I have 10,000 armor, that gives me a bunch more damage reduction than if I put on 1,000 armor when I have 20,000 armor. Like it's diminishing returns as you put armor on. As you take armor off, it's the opposite up to 100. So it's nuts how much the melee can jump up, and then warrior on top of that generates and feral generates their feral not sorry bear tank, but they generate their rage from damage done. So on warriors, it's just double fold at how much they can scale in wrath. So they will make a huge jump coming. It's hard to see, and I don't think most of the sims properly work with the stat armor pen.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit weird. Like, I feel like Ulduar is the start of when armor pen's meant to really begin mattering, but survival is still comfortably ahead marksman, even with people having the Skyforge crossbow, whatever it's called, which is like that was meant to be the start of the turning point where you actually swap over. And it's like combat rogues. Hey, they were pretty good in Nax as well. Like you could play combat in Nax, it was fine. Like not even on a just flex to it. You could play combat and do really good. Mm-hmm. Not quite as good as assassination. Actually, probably a fair bit behind, but they're still good.
They're still doing. I mean, they're still doing as much as
same in Ulduar. Like there are some fights where cleave is valuable, and combat can cleave the hell out, mutilate any day.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at like currently in week 2, overall damage, combat has just went way down in the gutter as like basically the lowest of the B tier. Basically, I would say, like if you're gonna call, like if you look at, I've got the link in there. If you're gonna call the jump down to marksman hunter, like it's a huge jump down. You could call that the C tier, or you could just call rogue bottom of the A tier. It depends on where you would put stuff, but yeah, they've dropped way down. But on boss damage, combat rogue is still 1, 2, 3. It's still the 6th best class, in Ulduar. So it's kind of crazy. Whereas you look at Fire Mage, who's the 8th best on boss damage currently, but number 2 on overall damage, So that's kind of neat to see, the jump there. But also, people think I'm crazy. I still think people are playing combat rogue wrong here at the start of Ulduar. All of the BIS lists do not have armor pen items as as what you should be using, and I was all attack power gems. I switched to all armor pen gems, and I'm pumping now. Like I'm up with gear and gems. I'm up to without Grim Toll procking. I'm up to just a base like 30% armor pen, and I'm doing really good. I think once I push 50, like it's gonna be nutty. But like nobody at the top end is willing to try it at all because the Sims say it's horrible. But I mean, I tested it and it's not. Like with about 18% armor pen, I'm hitting like the same thing as if I gemmed all attack power. So, and then it just gets better for me personally in testing when I go over that in armor pen. So I don't think people are trying it, but everybody thinks I'm crazy, so I'll just have to wait and see.
Everyone else is the crazy one.
I know, like I'm just like I can't talk people out of this because like I've only done my personal testing and stuff, like so I'm not going to try to talk them out of it. I'm just like, just wait and see. I'm telling you, like once combat rogues figure out armor pen, the best people are going to be pumping.
Things always turn out a bit, I guess, different. It's like fire mages at the moment are using Frostfire Bolt. I thought that spell would be completely dead for the entire expansion.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't fully understand why. I haven't had a proper look into it. But yeah, they're not using Firebolt, they're using Frostfire Bolt. I guess it's just better for one reason or another.
Yeah, well, and like we talked about this maybe a pre-show, but like also the change that was made during ICC to the way poisons scale with attack power and the different procs in them stuff. Like basically, there's a lot of changes to poison in the ICC patch, or maybe late TOC. So that changes a lot too. Like, like that's like a huge difference, and that's why you can make the argument that attack power is your better thing as combat, whereas back in the day your poisons weren't doing crap for damage during Ulduar so as combat. So like it's just like there's so many like different factors in the classic life when you're just comparing old raid to new raid, with us being on the final patch. Like it's kind of neat though.
It's even like playing the Warlock. I thought Affliction would really start taking over, but Demonology is still pretty good in Ulduar.
Yeah.
Like it's not far behind if you play well and get some decent procs.
Well, I mean,
you can still do really well on Demonology.
Yeah, you're like in overall, you're number 3 overall. And then
Demo's always been fantastic overall. Just so much trash damage.
Yeah, you're still number 5. Yeah. You're still number 5 in boss. Like it's still really good. Yeah,
that's been more or less where I'm at.
Now,
but it's
in the top 95th percentile, you could also make the argument, and I made this argument week 2 of Nax, is that your Demonology Warlock kind of gets fed gear, so they can make a jump in DPS 2 at the beginning of a phase because of that. And the 95th percentile is going to be the guilds that are smart enough to feed their demo lock. Maybe smart's not the word, but savvy enough to feed their demo lock gear.
Oh, yeah. I've got a lot of gear. I'll say that. I could still use some more gear, but...
you can always use more, right?
The this piece for this. There's this boss called Algalon, and he's really hard, and he has everything that's based on his loot table. And I just want it all. But yeah, I mean, hey, it's true. You do get filtered gear pretty hard. Like Demonology was insane at the start of Nax. Like it was so much better than Affliction. It wasn't even close. I think it'll always outscale, but it's fine. I like pressing Soulfire. You get big numbers on your screen. That's all I'm after.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I did just the only thing that I enjoyed as lock in TBC was just seeing the big boom, boom, boom. Haste and big numbers was all I had to look forward to every week. And seeding. I think seeding was what I hated the most.
Yeah, it was
just so weird. Like if the mob died before it went off and stuff like that. Like it was just like, ugh.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, midway through TBC, I swapped off Warlocks. So I was like, I'm just gonna pick this back up in Wrath.
All right, so yeah, Red Paladin is like, I think we all agree that it's probably like this change is probably a pretty good one.
Yeah, I mean, it may increase their DPS a bit later when they're due to scale up anyway, but they are notably behind everyone else, and they're the only DPS option for the class. I can say for our main raid at least, we have actually dropped a Rep Pally player for the hard modes, unfortunately, who's been with the guild for a long time, just because they're really not very good. And you can bring an Arcane Mage. They bring the... I was going to mention it as well. The 3% damage buff is one of the big reasons to bring a Rep Paladin. So as a passive buff, someone in the raid, you know how buffs work in Wrath of the Lich King? There's like 1 million of them.
Yep.
And half a dozen different classes can do the same buff. One of the buffs is 3% flat damage to everyone in the raid. 3% across everyone. That's a big number. And you've got 3 options for it. Yeah, BM Hunter. If you make your Hunter play BM, I feel sorry for you and your guild. Don't make your Hunter play BM. I play a Hunter AO. Just no. Okay, no. Your other option are Arcane Mage. They're pretty good. You can get away with Arcane. On some fights, mages want to play Arcane. Like Vezax, for instance.
Right.
So Arcane Mages are fine. The other option is Rep Pally, which you can spec into Divine Sacrifice. You can bring tons of other buffs, and now you can do slightly better damage.
Yeah, Rets,
so yeah,
please.
Hopefully that's the reason to bring the Rets back into the main raid for even the higher level guilds.
And please spec into Divine Sac. You could also make the argument that if Rets are getting a little better, because you have to have Divine Sac, you have to have a certain amount of them for a lot of the hard mode fights. So what you end up slotting them in as is heals and tanks. This could Rets being able to do more damage could open up the door for you to use different tanks and heals too. Like it could open other roles up in other spots for other people, because unfortunately you do have to have a certain amount of pallies, at least 3 for buffs and raid sacks, right? So like it'd be nice to like not have to have them all be, like tank and heal to be doing the absolute smartest thing. So yeah,
for sure. But they've got a little buff now. It's kind of funny enough. When you're going to the Holy Tree, when you're not getting Divine Sacrifice, that's to increase your damage to Seal of Vengeance, which is the thing that procs off Divine Storm now. So unfortunate how that's kind of ended up. But before it was only a single target buff, and now it's like a bit of an AoE buff as well. But I guess you're using Seal of Command. I don't know. I'm not like a huge Ret player. This is just stuff I remember reading.
Yeah, the only thing that kind of scares me is they came out not too long ago and did the nerf to Unholy, which I think has worked out really well. Like they're, scaling along with the like balance looks really good at the moment for the majority of classes. But like they said they didn't plan on changing the pally at all, and then now they're like, oh, okay, we are going to change the pally. It just makes me, you could say, oh, they're listening to the community, but like, there's a lot of things the community want that, like, I think are really bad ideas too. So it just kind of like they go back in and say, hey, we don't plan on doing anything else again now. But wait,
Irene plays a pally, right?
He plays a pally tank.
Oh, okay, he's not right. Okay, so we can't blame him.
But it just,
it's a tough one. It's like,
how much do you want to tinker?
Community makes, and I guess when you're making a game, you're developing one, you have to read what people are asking for and decide what is good for the game and what is bad. So at the end of the day, some people would, if you could log in once a week and get 100 gold in the mail, some people think that's great because they don't have to farm gold as much, but that's obviously not a good idea. So yeah, you have to sort of, when you're making a game, you have to decide what's going to actually be a good idea and what's not going to be a good idea. But yeah, they did say when they did the Unholy change that was kind of going to be it, and now they've gone back and done the Ret one too, and I guess they want to be decisive with it, but it is a tough thing to do. Like, I don't envy them at the same time, right? Especially with the history classic WoW has of starting off with no changes, and then gradually there's sort of been more and more things which have gone a little bit different, and to the point where we're here today in Wrath, and we're getting active class changes, small ones, right? But
and you don't even,
nevertheless,
you reminded me of something I hadn't even thought about. That wasn't even changed in Wrath, but is a huge difference in Wrath, right? Like Seal of Blood being added in TBC to Alliance Paladins, right? Like that wasn't a thing in Wrath either. So like that's a change that happened prior that is affecting Wrath in a different way now than it did before.
Yeah, it's
I don't know how it's affecting it at all, but like it is a different change.
I think with in Wrath originally they gave both Paladins both seals.
Did they? Okay.
And then they changed it all to Seal of Vengeance much later in Wrath.
Okay. So that's okay. So then maybe it isn't that different.
Yeah, in TBC though, like Alliance had Seal of, what was it even called? I don't even know what it's called, but
Seal of the Crusader or something. I forget.
How was it? Vengeance? No, it wasn't. That's the back one. It was the one that was the stacking debuff. It's like Seal of Vengeance now.
Yeah, but I don't know. It just it worries me, and at the same time, because I think this change is good, and I think that the change to the DK was really good too. That's what gives me hope that they're on the right track to doing what I think is probably good changes. So I think both of these changes are good.
You have to respect them. I don't think that they should take such hard stances like we're not going to do anything, but you have to respect the fact that they didn't want to do anything, and then we're like, okay, well maybe we should do something, and kind of ate those words, right?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's again, it's like a tough position to be in, to try and be making a game and deciding what's good and what's bad.
Yeah, what people really want.
Yeah,
because they could do absolutely anything, and there'll be somebody that hates it. I guarantee it.
100%.
Like absolutely anything.
And they'll be the loudest person too.
Oh yeah,
always. Yep. So the last little bit of news isn't really news, but I wanted to just ask if anything kind of jumped out at anybody as far as like DPS rankings week 2. I know you said Combat Rogues kind of surprised you. Kind of surprised me too on the trash, like the overall rankings for Combat Rogues. But I feel like they're probably, I feel like I was more thinking, but I was always thinking it would be after middle of Ulduar or geared in Ulduar that they'll be one of the top 3 DPS. But like, because that's the way it was back in the day. Like, as far as if you look over all of the fights in Ulduar, like, but yeah, I'm surprised assassination is as high as it is. Like, that's a big surprise to me. But with that late change I talked about in, one of the last patches in Wrath, like with the way poisons changed, like it really helped assassination rogue. So that's surprising me. Any surprises to you?
I guess the only one's kind of like a negative one is that I thought marksman might be a little higher, but survival's still very in front.
Yeah.
It's crazy the jump Combat Rogue gets from overall to boss damage.
Yeah,
like they're way down there on overall.
Yeah, well, it's because like the reason they were so high in Nax is because the fights were so quick. So like your Fell Striker proc, you weren't even getting, like you were getting a total of 3 to 4 seconds for the entire fight, right? So those crits were huge. Whereas like now the trash fights are a lot longer. So you got a real good burst, especially as a combat rogue with your cooldowns on that first few hits. But as the pack goes on, you're dropping down. So the longer an AoE pack takes, the less a rogue's going to do damage wise, as it's not that, whereas like somebody else could dump half of their mana, into a AoE pool. So I think that's why the rogues have dropped so much down. But also
Fire Mage are doing pretty good.
Yeah, it's weird how like I don't know. I think Fire is gonna like by the end of Ulduar really jump up in the boss damage tier there. But there's a lot of different fights where they really have to like learn how to like really take advantage of their class, Like there's like I told you about that top 24 world parse that our Fire Mage got on a Freya. His DPS, when you looked at the bars, it was all of us down here, and he had a 33% more of the overall damage on the fight than any other person. It was crazy. It might even have been more. It might have been 40%. So like, and yeah, like there's, and Hodir, like there's a lot of different range mechanics that once people really figure it out, I think, and gear, fire's really going to just jump.
Yeah. I mean, fire, it does. I kind of feel it's been carried by Hodir and it has high variance. Crits.
Yep. Also,
although it's, good.
General Vezax on normal mode, like a fire mage can, I mean, it's just like even like a chamois can like really, elemental chamois can really destroy on that fight.
Yeah, like elemental shaman, shadow priest, like all the people you don't expect can pop off on Vezax. Yeah. Yeah. It turns out all they need is half mana cost and double damage. Like, who knew? And that can be great.
Yep. Yeah, Shadow Priest is a lot higher than I thought, I guess they would be. They're kind of middle of the pack.
I mean, a lot of people thought Shadow Priests were going to be higher. I just don't really know. I don't understand how Shadow works, so I don't really know.
It's kind of wild. Like, this is the first expansion, like the dot scale with haste, they crit, but then kind of everyone else has got the same treatment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah,
they're fine. You want a shadow? They're good.
You know, 1-7.
Algalon.
All right. Well, I think that's gonna do it for the news this week. So let's move into talking to Yip about our time in Ulduar Hardmodes this week.
Bobby, we need to have a talk about this World of Warcraft classic. Do I look like I know what a WoW token is?
All right, and we're here with the Yip Show, aka Ryan. Welcome.
Hello, I am here. For what? Is this the second time? Is that all it's been? This the second time?
Yeah, this is hard mode raid progression number 2.
Yeah, Yip's like, I've been here, obviously.
I feel like just because of how much Ulduar we're doing, I can't figure out like what week it is. Like, this is only our 3rd week of Ulduar, right?
I know.
The 3rd week.
It's like 28th raid of Ulduar, right?
Yeah, and with you and me, like, we both raid on 2 characters, so that's 2 25-mans, 2 10-mans. Like, it's been,
you don't want to put me into that category?
Oh,
For
true.
sure, I've been there too.
Well, you missed last 25.
Yeah. Okay, fine.
But yeah, it's like hard every time I think about progression. I'm like, when did we kill that? Like, wasn't it week 3? Like, wait, this is week 3. Okay.
Oh no, that was 10-man. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Well, yeah, we're gonna talk about our 25-man raid and then probably a little bit about the 10-man we had last night, maybe.
Yeah, we had a good 10-man, but for 25, our plan was exactly the same because if I recall, we made no progress last week. Is that correct?
Yeah.
We killed Thorum week 1, and then we didn't kill Thorum.
We didn't kill Thorum week 1. Yeah, we killed him last week.
That's right. We failed at Thorum week 1, and then week 2 we killed Thorum. Thorum is pretty good now. The nice thing is that we only had 8 total melee. We have actually, I don't think Mira had to go Boomkin for that. I think we had 9 melee, and then our resto or our enhancement shaman goes resto for Thorum, so that way we had finally stacked melee 4 and 4 on each side, and the fight just became 8 million times easier without
night and day.
Melee getting one shot.
Literally night and day. It was like, wait, we're done? Like, I even didn't see, like, I even at the very end of the fight wasted an entire full rupture and slice and dice when like the fight was ending 2 seconds later. Like, I didn't even notice the boss health because I thought we had so much further to go because usually so many people were dead.
Quick, yeah, it dies quick when everyone lives. The problem we were having before is that we were running like 11 melee, which means we had to stack into groups of 3, and that is like way sketchy.
Really sketchy
versus stacking in 2. So Thorum felt really, really easy now, which he is supposed to be. So that is good. Feel better about that.
Same.
Got my ring from him. Can't complain. We killed him twice, and both me and our off tank have our BIS ring. So
It's awesome.
Nice.
pretty happy with that.
There you go.
But yeah, Thorum was not our prog. Thorum was we just want to make sure we can kill him good, which we can. Our real prog was going to start on Freya, which is where we failed last week. Last week was like our week 1 Thorum, where we put in a lot of time, and it felt like we probably could have got it down, but we wanted to just kind of keep moving on and making sure that we could kill General and Yogg and have enough time for that. So this week, though, we were like speeding through. I don't know what we did differently. It didn't feel like we were like pushing to go fast or anything, but previously we had like maybe a little bit of time for Freya or something like that, like 1 or 2 pulls. But we had plenty of time to prog on Freya on Tuesday.
You missed, though. We did try XT, once or twice?
You're right. Yeah, so XT got nerfed. So we did. You're right. I totally forgot. We did try XT. We didn't want to put really any time into it, and I think we were just getting like absolutely destroyed by the tremors, even with like divine sack up. So we definitely have to think about what we're gonna do to not die to that. But I think next week we're gonna put a little more time into XT. But seeing the nerf was kind of nice for us. I wasn't like really looking forward to, because like honestly it doesn't open Algalon for you. Right. It kind of stinks like to need something off that boss, and then it's like very tight. It's obviously you're gonna have multiple attempts to get it down. So I'm happy for the nerf. What do you have an insight on the general WoW opinion, Bob, on what do people think about nerfing XT?
I mean, I think it was maybe a little bit too early. We talked about it with WillE, but it's just like, it is kind of weird, the placement. I kind of wish that XT, instead of nerfing it, they kept it, right? Because nobody had dropped it on 25. They kept it, and they just made the loot table all 252 gear. And so we could just see when somebody, because if it was like Algalon, people would push it, right?
Yeah,
we could just see when it happens.
Than Algalon.
I know,
like,
it's
that's
dumb.
Crazy.
But the hard mode you don't have to do. So I just thought it'd be neat to have something that took weeks and weeks for someone to get down. I thought that would have been kind of neat. But yeah, all in all, I totally screwed up our like second run. I had never gotten gravity bomb, so I cloaked it as soon as I got it. Because it's kind of automatic. The cloaking thing, you have to do it so quick lots of times. Like it becomes kind of automatic. And I cloaked it and put gravity bomb like right in the middle of all the melee on the left leg. I was like, oh my God, I'm an idiot.
That's like me taunting. Every time the boss stops looking at me or like anything stops looking at me, I just like taunt immediately. So sometimes Fab will like taunt off me for a particular reason, and my muscle memory just taunts it right back. Because I'm like, that's not right.
Same.
I'm the one who has threat.
I do that. The worst is when I do it on like Thorum or something. Like, I'm like, no, don't do that. What are you doing? He's supposed to taunt off you. Oh man.
Yeah, it's tough. But XT we'll put more time into next week, but apparently it is killable now, so that's good. And then the
easy mode was super easy now.
Yeah, they shouldn't have nerfed normal mode. They nerfed normal mode too. And literally now it's like it is heart phase all of the time. You get 0 ground tremors. And you have to really stop DPS on the heart, like halfway through the timer.
I'll be honest, it already was kind of a pushover. It is weird that it was nerfed too, but normal XT was already kind of really easy because we would even on our weekend raid where we're doing less damage, I still think we only get the 1 tremor previously because we still were pushing heart like really far.
Yep.
So kind of silly, but maybe it'll get more people to do XT. But yeah, so we did XT. We didn't try anything else because we again wanted that time for Freya. And I think next week we'll probably look at Flame Leviathan too, but that's another like time sink for us. But Freya was really important to us. So we did Mimiron first. We've been kind of getting into the habit of doing Mimron first to leave time for Freya. But our biggest problem from the last week that we were progging was Elder Phase. I feel like we got the trio, elemental trio down, the detonators we had down to like a pretty solid science. We had 2 warlocks who were using stuns. And then we would use double boomkin knockback. Our feral would go boomkin. So we had plenty of like, we had everything going for us on detonators. But elders were like really kicking our butt. I don't want to brag here, but I brought up as we were struggling, I brought up that I think it just makes more sense for us to not divine sack the ground tremors that like we should be able to heal through. And I think that ended up making a pretty big difference. And we would just chain divine sacks during the elder phase. And that way we could just like mitigate as much damage.
It was way cleaner. Yeah, it was way cleaner.
It's not just that. I think also just like everyone was doing everything right. So the casters were getting the mushrooms that were farther away. Like people with Nature's Fury, everyone knows to get out at that point. We were all just like playing a little bit smarter and better during the Elder, but
we
the
one shot it,
definitely
right?
I don't remember. I think we won. I think we one
shot it.
Not a chance. No.
We're gonna look. We're gonna find.
Yeah, I was gonna pull it up.
I think it also helps that it, like, I think most 10-man groups that we've had running did it last week, which probably helped too.
Okay, I really am I.
No.
Yeah, we definitely did it.
We did
8 times.
8 times this last week.
Yeah.
Why do I not remember that?
There was like a couple that were like, there was 4 under 2 minutes.
Yeah,
like
so I think there were
where we called a wipe early.
early.
Yeah, we called a wipe early. Okay.
People kept dying like right at the beginning.
Yeah, so I think anytime we had an early elder and ended up losing people, I think we were like, all right, let's move on. Let's just send it again. So yeah,
I like how in Bob's mind we one-shot it though. That was.
I swear we one-shot it. Huh.
I certainly didn't think that it took 9 pulls
either.
to do. So I am a little bit surprised. But yeah, we end raid at 1 a.m. and our last pull was at 1:08 a.m. So we pushed it a little past raid time. But not being able to do 9 pulls on our one night where we'll just leave General and Yogg left felt pretty big. I was like, we have so much more time. We didn't do like Bob's Magic Mimron trash skip or anything like that. I was just going through and killing stuff. So I was pretty happy with the pace that we're moving. And it kind of shows that we have a lot more time to prog if we really want to. Like if we want to wipe a Hodier because we think we can get close, we definitely have time to do that. So
we one-shot with everything else. Except for the XT like ones that we tried on hard mode. Everything else we one-shot throughout the night.
Everything. We're getting very clean on everything. We're not losing a ton of people when we pull like Oriya the first around the walkway. We're getting kind of clean, so that's good. Freya felt good though. I remember we must have pulled it multiple times. I remember that feeling of finally killing it. We were like, all right, one more pull. And I was like, you should see like officer chat. It's like we're always like fighting. Like, do we do another pull? Do we end it here? Like, should we do one more? But it seems like every time we say, "All right, this is the last pull," everyone gets it together.
Yeah.
And we had we had very few deaths, if I recall. I'm gonna take a look. Oh yeah, Stoof died.
Yeah,
I remember now. Stoof ran away with Nature's Fury and died. But other than that, we had no deaths. Everything was super clean. And yeah, I mean, I think honestly, the divine sacking the elders, I think helped people playing smart then. But that's really the only like super hard thing. We were still having DKK like pull the snap lasher around as well and kite it around. I think this is important.
Yeah,
too.
And me and Kabosh on the 2 different kick assignments, and other people this week were helping too. Like they might have been helping the last week, but I was getting the kicks before them. But I was getting out kicked like a few different times, so like everybody's like chipping in, which is good. You know, you like even if someone is assigned to kicks, if you're not assigned to a kick, help out kicking, guys. Like,
yeah, I mean, I think that's the kind of like personal responsibility that I think makes raid really strong. Is like once everyone is stopping, like, okay, I'm actually make sure we kill this boss.
Yep.
Let me actually do the right stuff here. I think it can really go a long way, and it shows going from our million Freya wipes to what ends up being like a super clean pull. So not super worried about Freya in the future, because it definitely is one that extra gear is going to continually help with and make like the Elder just go by
faster, more health, more like dies quicker. But speaking of die quicker, I got the Blade Twister 252 dagger.
Yeah.
Biss offhand for combat and Biss main hand for assassination. I was thinking I couldn't use it until I got a fist weapon, but I was thinking about this. It's so much. It's still 1.4 speed, which is the most important thing for the combat offhand. I wonder if it might actually be more DPS, even though it's not a sword in my offhand. And I was starting to think, I was like, I honestly don't even know if the offhand sword procs the extra hit, but if it does proc it, I was talking to LZ, I'm pretty sure it procs the main hand. So the offhand hit sometimes could screw you because it would reset your timer. You know, it could reset your timer way late in the swing, like at, 2 seconds or something like that. So I wonder if using the Blade Twister, even though I'm sword spec, still might just be like better. I don't know. I'm going to research it more and try and find out.
As the only rogue that comes, it's hard to, you can't really bounce those ideas off anymore.
Right. I wanted to be in the upper like, yeah, sure, maybe.
I mean, the procking, the offhand procking is an interesting thought. But I imagine the 252 dagger is probably just really strong. It might make up for whatever in the offhand. But luckily I don't think anyone else uses daggers, right? Like there's no, like Enhance doesn't use daggers.
I think it's just rogues. But I mean, I guess like a hunter might be able to use it as stat sticks or something, like maybe if they didn't have something else. But
they certainly wouldn't win it.
I know tanks back in the day in Wrath, there were quite a few tanks that used daggers to tank. But I don't see any of that in any Biss lists or anything. I don't know if it ever was actually the smart play.
There was this thread, not to go on a tangent, but I was looking at this thread in the Prop Paladin Discord that was talking about like DKs back at the time, and they just had no idea what they were doing. They're like, I actually find that I do more damage not putting up any diseases and just hitting like obliterate. It's just like, what are these people talking about?
There was so much confusion back in the day, man.
This was very funny. But that's how we ended the night. We just had General and Yogg left. And of course, me not wanting to prog for 2 hours on Yogg brought up, I was like, we should do a couple of hard mode attempts on Vezax, right? Like we have plenty of time. Yeah. We raid for 2.5 hours, which is not that long of a time. And Bob only just found out.
2 bosses.
I know. I was like, I thought we raided 3 hours. He's like, no, Bob, we raid 2.5. I was like, I guess we always just ended Nax way before 2.5 hours hit.
Yeah,
so
it just didn't matter.
For the first couple weeks, we did raid 3 hours, right? Like we were pushing it past our 2.5 hour mark. So,
but 2.5 hours. That's, as I say, as our last Freya pulls at 108. That's okay.
Fine.
But yeah, so let's do a couple hard mode. Vezax main reason is that in a way it seemed easier to me. I was like, it's going to be clear to us whether or not we can do it, because if the healers are then like the healers are and we lose. So let's find out if we can do it. And surprisingly, on our first attempt, it was super clean. Like it was actually probably easier than
because the freaking ranged weren't dying constantly.
I was like, listen, everybody realized they couldn't get hit by that thing anymore. We weren't going to heal them. And so everybody, like, it was amazing how their skill leveled up so much from last week to this week.
Yeah, I think the big thing is we started having 2 groups of range instead of both groups of range trying to like touch one puddle. We just had like 2 groups of range that are totally separate. It's not really a DPS race, so it didn't really matter as much. We had people not in the puddle wanding, and then when they did get the puddle, they would blast, and then we made sure that the range saves like 40% mana for the Animus when it came out. We have 2 prop paladins, so pretty much the worst setup you could have for Vezax. And yeah, the prop paladin on the Animus was just not working out.
He also had some sort of stat issue, like his crit was like
10 expertise.
Whatever.
It's 10 expertise.
I don't know what.
Yeah, the glyph was broken, which doesn't surprise me. That definitely sounds like something that would be in this game.
Sounds like something that would happen to Fabulous too, specifically.
100%.
Wait a minute, all my stats are
And the
lowered.
best is when we're in 10-man raid, Kabosh thought the whole night, or the whole time from that point until we did the 10-man raid the next day, that Fab meant that it was broken all of Nax, and he was like, what? Because we had run just 2 bosses in our 3 bosses real quick in 10-man Nax prior, and he had said, yeah, since Nax, and he was just talking about like 15 minutes earlier, and Kabosh was like, what?
Yeah, that would be pretty funny to find that out. But
man.
what we ended up doing, we have a DK who came with a blood spec, and he has like phase 1 bis, which is definitely good enough to tank the Animus.
Yeah.
I think some people
Riley Bad, shout out.
Yeah, Riley Bad.
Bubble Hearth.
I don't know if people are doing this in 25 man. I know in 10 man you can just solo tank both things. But I don't know if anyone's doing it in 25 man. But I was not gonna do that. I'm always anyway. Like that fight is just wild for prop paladin. But we switched to the icy touch master DK, and then threat wasn't a problem at all. One issue we ran into, we actually did have quite a few attempts now that I'm thinking about it.
It's 4 wipes.
4 wipes. We ran into an issue where the ramping damage coming out of the Animus was too much. So what we did was we saved Hero till he was at like 50%, so that we could kill him and make sure the ramping damage like didn't kill us. Of course. It was still kind of tight on mana on the actual kill. We did kill him. I don't know. Now that I think about it, maybe it's 10 man.
I think it was 10 mana. I was the only one that had mana at the end. Jasmine didn't have any mana, but 25 man, I think we were okay. I still had mana, so I was going to be able to heal.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, so 25 man, not as crazy on mana. When we did it on 10 man, there was like a little bit of sketchiness in the mana.
Yeah,
and it was you and Stoof, not you and Jazz.
Or me and Stoof. Stoof was out of mana, and I still had plenty.
Not to put Stoof on blast, but her mana was gone. It was kind of outrageous.
So you're right, though, because Jasmine said it in 25 man. So I think at the end of 25 man, I was the only one with mana, too. That's because all I do is shield Yep during the beginning of it.
True. But it honestly, it was more comfortable than I thought it was going to be. I would say, honestly, if you guys think that Vezax is going to be too hard, I would say just like send it. It ended up not being that much harder than normal mode. We didn't have people freaking out over like where the Serenite Vapors were going to go and be. And honestly, some of our biggest problems with normal Vezax are people like trying to go get a Vapor and then a Shadow Crash happens like near melee or something. So having everyone just plant their feet ended up working out just fine. Now that the gear level that I'm at, I was actually having issues with mana because Vezax just wasn't doing enough damage to me. I wasn't there. There were honestly times that he didn't hit me once during his Surge of Darkness, and that's like I rely on him hitting me to get that mana back. So might be pumping a little too much avoidance on him, but it's still useful.
And I'll also point out 2 of our wipes, the Pally off tank was bugged, and we just weren't able. The Animus just didn't work out. One of the wipes,
well, he was out of mana, like he's a Pally, so he was out of mana.
Yeah. Well,
any damage to him.
Yeah, it just wasn't good. But then one of our wipes, a pesky Felguard, killed one of the green Vapors. So we just called a wipe. So honestly, it was really, when we had the proper tank to do the Animus, it was really only 2 pulls, 1 wipe, 1 kill.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was super comfortable. It was really just us like figuring out what the fight entailed. Because again, we're the kind of guild that we read the guide and we're like, let's just send it, see what happens.
Just try it.
And we're like, okay, that was a lot of damage. Let's
like, hold on, I'm gonna look at the guide again, guys. Like after we see it, I feel like after we see it a couple times, I can look at the guide and remind myself of things like, oh yeah, that's what that looks like.
But definitely, like, I mean, I would say I don't want to say we're struggling, but I definitely think that like Ulduar is tough, and Vezax was not as tough as I would have thought it was going to be. I would definitely say try sending it with your guild if you haven't yet. Just do a couple attempts. Just on our first attempt, I was like, wait a minute, we can actually do this right now.
Right.
I thought we were just gonna like learn the mechanics tonight, but I think we can actually do it. And then a couple.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was awesome.
I think having a discipline priest there that can stay in the like little cloud thing, and just shield. I think like I was able to conserve all my mana and then just pop shields on everybody once Animus came out, and then keep shields up on everybody, and I didn't have any mana problems with that.
That definitely worked out really, really well. But yeah, General Vezax, we were not expecting it, and we had no plan, but we were able to down that hard mode, and we left ourselves over an hour and a half or something like that for Yogg 1 light.
Yep.
And we've been, I mean, with 4 light, we've been destroying Yogg, of course. It's been pretty easy, I think.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of our 10-mans were doing Yogg 1. I think Bob's this week struggled, which is okay. You guys were like,
this is a bummer.
Getting to phase, so you guys were getting to the last phase, just running out of time.
Yeah.
That's basically killing Yogg. So like I definitely felt like, okay, everyone knows the fight. We should be good to do this. It was hard.
It was hard. Yeah.
It was a lot harder than I was expecting it to be. And I don't think, maybe we did 1 attempt. I don't think we even did last week. We did no attempts last week because
no,
we
just
spent
too
much time on Freya.
Yeah. So this was really our first like foray into the 25-man Yogg 1. We were the first few attempts. We were super clean on the clouds. We were doing really well on the clouds. Like first phase, simple, easy. The insanity mechanics were definitely trolling us a little bit. So I don't know if it was the first time.
The first pull, I got hit with like the malady and like all of the stuff, the random stuff. I was at like 23% or 23 insanity, like going into like phase 2. And I was like, what the hell am I going to do with this? Or like phase 3. Yeah.
It can get a little wild. We had a time where Jasmine, our druid healer, also dropped down
Same
to like
thing, yeah.
18 in the first like 30 seconds of phase 2. It was just wild.
Yeah.
And then apparently immunity effects are bad for the malady. I think here's what happened. We had this really awkward positioning around a crusher. I have to be there because I'm like hitting it with judgment to get rid of diminished power. And then I got malady, and then I think like chained it to 3 people because people didn't get away from me. And then I think one of them was LZ, and he ice blocked, and I think it automatically chained back to me.
Oh God!
I think it's the same thing like the cloak for the gravity bomb, where it just set it off as
like
soon as
goes
it was
off.
used. Yeah.
Oh,
so
wow.
I think it got sent immediately back to me, and then like I plunged it into like more people. It was so much chaos that where I was like, this is not
it was supposed to happen.
It's not okay.
So we kind of had some learning curves to get through that. And then once I felt like, hey, we're getting better at the insanity stuff. The problem is that we are 3-phasing the brain, which I think the fight would be a ton easier if we can really like get on top of the brain inside and do it in 2 phases. I don't know what it's like down there. I don't go down there, so I don't know how viable that is, but it seems like doable.
But if you guys could get it together, that would really make it easier for us up top.
I think we can. It's just like there's certain things that we need to do. Like anybody who doesn't have engineering should be one of the last people to go in the portals, so they can just run straight to the brain room, right?
I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense. They're going to be the slowest.
Yeah, because you come in right where the entrance to the brain room is, and then you have to go out each side. It's basically a circle route or a triangle route for each of the different places you go to. But you go group will go like this, like around, and then come back down the middle. Now, if you have sprint or boots, you can get to the brain really quick. But anybody who didn't would take forever. So having everybody go, and everybody's oftentimes not going to get in the portal. Like, I got in one portal late because someone took mine and I had to run around Yogg. Well, I got in, I saw there was one tentacle, so I just turned straight and went right into the brain room, right? And whoever's doing your armor pen, needs to be in the brain quickly, and those types of things. So that's one of the things
you guys should
we can
be able
do
to do this for us.
Yeah, we should be able to, but definitely prioritize people who are engineering, because the boots are huge, or has some sort of sprint, and then only use that. Like, took everything for me not to use my speed stuff at the start, or if I need to get over to a tentacle or something, I had to be like, no, you need to save this for brain. And with a rogue, I could do boots and then sprint. I could use one on each of the brain phases. So, but yeah, it's cleaning that up will be a little better. People need to know when they turn their backs, they need to strafe and not, just turn their back and walk backwards. You need to be strafing, turn yourself so your back's to it, but you're still strafing towards the things you need to kill. And yeah, I think we'll get a lot better at that.
I'm not against a hero down there. I think a hero in the last 15 seconds of the second brain room, because then the hero Yogg pops out immediately. So I think we can still use half the heroism on DPSing Yogg. But people coming in with 18 insanity are almost always getting MC'd for us. A lot of the range are coming in low, so we're not able to pump as hard as we normally could. It seems worthwhile to push it into 2 phases rather than making sure we have hero for full damage at the end.
I definitely think it needs to be the second phase, just because I don't know what it is, but every time, whether it be 10-man or 25-man, the second brain phase, we have way more time, way more time. And I feel just and I'm talking about just the time where we're in the brain. I wonder if that's what Harskar's, what he's well, why aren't we getting there in the first one? I think they must be different timers for how long you're down there or something. Because either that or the first room you're ported to is harder. Because the second room has 9, but they're 3 placed here, 3 placed here, and 3 placed here. So I can go to one of the packs of 3 fan of knives, and I can kill them really fast. Whereas the other ones, they're placed one at a time, and you have to single target each of them as you go. So I wonder if that second phase, you just end up getting in there quicker because the mobs are easier and in a better spot possibly. But we always have way more time in the second brain room.
It's definitely interesting. Yeah, we'll have to look into that. But either way, again, it's one that'll get easier. But after I feel we got pretty decent with the second phase, and I was like, all right, we definitely can start doing this. It was getting late in the night at this point, and our raid fell to pieces. We had a string of pulls. I'm going to guess and say maybe 6 pulls that were just awful, and we were wiping on the first phase over and over again.
We got tired.
We definitely got tired. It was actually crazy.
And it was always a different person screwing us. One of the times I screwed us, and I was so mad because it was the time we finally started to call people out, and I had been doing so good, walking way around clouds. Now, minded, I wasn't doing very good damage in phase 1, but I definitely wasn't hitting clouds, right?
Yeah.
And then one time I do it, it's we just start calling people out. You're like, Bob, you did 2 clouds. I'm like, God damn it! But it was always a different person.
Solid 30 minutes where we barely got into phase 2.
Yeah.
Like
sounds
from
right.
10:30 to 10:52 was just like, nope.
Yep, and it's just
Yeah.
like it was just rough.
We yeah, I was like, and honestly, it's a pretty tank. I mean, the phase 2, there's not much going on, but as a whole, it's like a tank intensive fight. People like immediately will start blasting a mob that's like very far away from the middle, and so even if you
Always.
taunt, they just turn around again anyway. So like it's really hard.
As taking
On
10
phase
man,
1.
I feel you. And that third phase, camera
It's hard.
camera positioning is an absolute bitch.
Yeah, Yogg takes up half your screen, and then they spawn like all over the room. So you have to be like looking around at all times.
And-
It's really difficult.
Even if you like zoom out, the room's smaller, so the top down view still isn't great. And like,
Yeah, the top down view doesn't. Give
you're
me
trying to
enough
pull
see
these
the room.
mobs from all over the place. You're trying to keep them in a spot where the melee can still cleave Yogg and still hit the boss. And you're just like,
And
you're
it's
trying
long.
to kick.
You're in that last phase for a while.
Mhm.
It's like
Yeah.
actually a very long phase.
Well, didn't we hit the rage timer on one of ours? Where
Maybe
like
on a 10 man.
No, I think it was on the 25 man.
Where it just kept.
There
Well, it was when we
one-
weren't taking care of the ads, I think, and
Yeah,
they
I
were
think
just
that was
like,
because we had too many ads out. There's like a
I mean, we
There's like-
went 16 minutes.
okay, that one we might have hit.
I think we hit the enrage timer, 16:02, which makes me think that 16
Wow.
minutes was the rage timer.
Yeah, that sounds like that happened then. It all blends together. How many polls
Yeah.
do you have it up? How many total polls did we do on Yogg?
We had
Um,
11 wipes and we killed it on the 12th time.
And that was the 12th time was probably 2 more pulls than I was willing to do. My brain was mush. I did not want to do phase 1 anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. I was so tired.
was that
And it was like a nightmare.
was that the night we had a super clean phase 1, and then someone was in the middle when a tentacle
Yeah, it
came up
reset.
and it reset? And I was like,
Yep. We had a perfect phase 1. Everything was perfect.
It was like our
Everything
first
was-
pull, right?
I think,
might have
I don't
been.
know. I think it might have been not the first one. It could have been though. But anyway, Yogg came up and just reset on us, so we all just had to run out. And like that's so disheartening to me because I hate
Mhm.
that first phase. I at least need a break of that second phase, just kind of like farting around, just
yeah,
like
the take
going
job.
insane.
The take job in the second phase is like, okay, I'll go whack on this little bit and interrupt. All right, I'll go do this. Okay, gonna put some sunders up here. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so
how I feel as a
break down.
healer in phase 2. It's like, yeah. But yeah, the 16-minute pull was like, we did that one, and then we had one more pull, and then it was our kill, right? So we like
Nice.
had this one where we like would have killed it. We just took way too long on like every
I think a
mechanic,
lot of
think.
people were dead too, like
And
during
going
phase 3.
Insane too, I think.
Oh,
Once you
we
start
did have a
going
lot of people
insane.
go insane. Yeah.
Yeah, it gets pretty wild. Having everyone alive into phase 3, I feel like it's just an instant kill. Like if everyone has like 24 plus insanity or sanity left and you go with everyone alive into phase 3, it's an easy kill. But when you have people who like can't pump the fullest because they're afraid of the gaze,
Mhm.
or if you just like mess up with the ad management and stuff, you can definitely fail. But yeah, our last pull again, we were able to get Yogg down. I think everyone was insanely relieved. I had no hope. I mean, I had honestly given up. But
Uh-huh.
I felt like a tank robot. I was like, well, I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna keep going.
And I was
We will do this.
trying so hard to keep positive. Like I was just lying to myself. I was like, all right, we got this. I'm just talking to chat and talking to myself, and I'm like, we got this. We're gonna do this. And in my head,
it
I was
felt
thinking,
hard.
we have no fucking way of doing this.
Yeah, again, a 1:09 a.m. pull. Interesting. A 1 minute off with the pull when we pulled Freya. That seems to be the sweet spot when everyone's ready to go to bed.
You
Everyone's
guys,
ready
in that one where we spent 16 minutes, I just looked at it, we had 15 people die within the first minute and a half.
What? And we just kept going?
Wow.
I think we like we res some of them, right? But like,
Oh man,
We should have called a wipe on that one,
should've
right?
known.
who knows? Listen, we're doing our best, okay? we're doing our best out here. But yeah, it was a long night of Yogg prog. But we were able to get it down. It definitely makes 10-mans feel a lot easier now that we've gone through that. Like, mashing your head against 25 is like the best way to feel confident going into 10.
Oh, also another thing in that phase 1, in a perfect world, like you have enough misdirects to the tank, like you have like maybe 2 hunters that can do it just for the long ones, the tank, and maybe you have 2 or 3 rogues, right? And you just stand in the very middle where you don't like do anything, and then the rogues can feint before one blows up, and then they could be there to kick easy, and then there's just like the other melee might not even need to come in, right? But like the problem I found is I could stay in as long as one was going to die, and then the other one was at almost full health. Then fate would be back up, and I could stay in again. Problem was happening is one would die, and then the other one was a 4th health, and I'm like, running out.
Yeah, I think like when people just single target them down in the order that they spawn, life is just so much easier. Like, you just quickly kill them one at a time, and then melee can get out and then get back in and do DPS versus like the weird cleave that ends up happening sometimes. I'm not gonna say that like we're not gonna mess that up more, but I'm hoping we're in a better place now. And yeah, I mean, when you're on your 8th pull of the night and the pulls are 10 minutes plus long, it is just people are worn down. But we somehow, when we say it's the last pull, everyone just rallies together and we do it.
Should really get our last pulls in earlier.
Hey, I was extremely happy with our prog this week. I was hoping, like I was pretty confident we would get Freya down because of the success we had in 10-mans and how close we got last week. I was hopeful that we get Yogg 1 down. I had in a million years didn't think we would do Vezax. We did that like we got 3 new hard modes under our belt. I feel like we did a great job.
Yeah, the awesome thing about Vezax is that it's an easy every weeker. Like, it's not going to add a lot more time to our run to throw that in. So we can just do that every week. Yogg probably going to take some time. Freya, I can still see some wipes happening, but I think we've got that pretty down.
Maybe a couple wipes, but I don't feel like it'll take us all night.
Yeah. Like sometimes it's just rough with the elder phase. Like too many people get hit by some AoE and then a ground tremor comes out and you're dead.
Goodbye.
But when things go clean, like the fight's actually really easy.
Nothing's worse than being stuck in a route on that elder phase and not being able to heal yourself, but you're trying to be far enough away from everybody else so you don't get the thing that kills everybody. So you're just like out in the middle of nowhere, like, hey guys, I can't do anything out here. I can't cast. I can't do anything. I'm just dying.
Well, too bad. You're not an elder and you're not a tree, so they're not going to help.
Yeah, I don't care.
We also, all 3 of us went into 10-man the next day, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Next
Friday.
day.
Yeah.
And we tried out some hard modes there that we didn't normally do, which I can quickly cover. We tried Flame Leviathan. Actually takes a little bit of coordination. We also had a chronic disconnector who disconnects on Flame Leviathan every time that we do it, which is just.
And when you have 10, that's much more impactful.
Yeah, and definitely not the reason we couldn't get it down. I think it probably just takes a couple of pulls, but that's 40 minutes to an hour or something at the beginning of the raid. Just doesn't feel that good when you have like other things that you want to try out and make sure that you get down. So we did a couple of pulls there. I think we'll get it, but it honestly might be easier to like slam our 25-man face in for an hour, and then like everyone is a little bit more on board. But other than that, we did XT on 10-man. That was incredibly comfortable.
One shot.
We had 2 divine sacks, so we were able to keep 100% uptime on divine sack for the tremors, which I think made a big difference.
We had
a shaman.
Yep. MVP, baby. Stormex, shout out.
So there has to be a bug on that fight because it happened to LZ Shaman as well too. I'm gonna pull it up. I think I linked the stats. Our Stormex, our Ellie, got 4 gravity bombs and 7 light or searing lights. But the crazy thing is that 6 of the searing lights were in a row on him, and then the 3 of his gravity bombs were also in a row. So there were 7 things hitting him back and forth, and there's a period of time where he ping pongs, he gets searing light, and then after it goes off, he immediately gets a gravity bomb and he runs out, immediately gets searing light and has to run back in, immediately gets gravity bomb, has to run back out, immediately gets searing light and has to run back in.
Oh my God.
There's 0 downtime between these things. I actually thought something was bugged, but he was doing it well, so it didn't really matter.
No.
We're just kind of cheering him on.
It's like, yeah, keep going.
And then I think he died, and then it finally stopped targeting him once he came back up.
Oh no, he died and he onked and immediately got searing light again, and we were cracking up, and then it kind of stopped. It went to other people, but like as soon as he onked, he got searing light.
I mean, it was like inexplicable, but it was really funny to watch.
It was great.
Oh man.
But hey, good on him. We one-shot it. It was super comfortable. Like there really aren't that many mechanics. It's just living through Tremor. That's really the only mechanic that we had. It's scary if someone like has a gravity bomb right into a Tremor because they're going to be low health. But yeah, I mean,
WillE was telling us you should bop them if they have a gravity bomb going into a Tremor. You have to bop them, and then
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. We fixed the only challenging part.
Fix the problem.
And then, I think that the healing of Tremor, if you have 2 divine stacks, I think that helped a lot. But it definitely was close. Like people were ending up at like 15 to 20% by the end of it. But then you can heal everybody out. There's nothing else. You just have to survive the Tremors.
Yeah.
The DPS. I mean, we had strong DPS in there, but I don't think that we're hitting like, we're not parsing 99s to kill XT. We don't. People can parse. In the 70s and get XT down in 10 man. So it's not anything too crazy. What else did we do in 10 man? Oh dear.
Oh, well,
we totally.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
I'm so sad.
1 second.
We threw.
Yeah, less than a second from getting hard mode 10 man Hodir. Like we didn't even think we were gonna do it, so we were just like, we should have called a wipe, like we didn't even think about it. We had someone die at about what was Hodir at like 20%.
20%. I think like 20%.
LZ died, I think.
Yeah, we would have done it.
We absolutely would have done it. Honestly, I was thinking about this. I think we would have done it if I had like enchanted my sword.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
we were like very close.
Because we did Freya hard mode. Again, that's almost just like a given for 10 man now, and you got your sword, which was awesome.
Yes, thankfully, I've been, it's been tough being a full chonk paladin when I'm used to like gearing Insano threat. So like I kind of forgot what it's like to have to like 1 hit your buttons well, and then 2 like we've been having to hand us out people on fights that like increase spell power. So like anytime the range gets some kind of buff, it's like kind of tough to hold threat. So the new weapon is going to help a lot. But yeah, Hodir is like with the right comp, and I think we can pull out 2 of the right comps to kill Hodir at this point. But we're at 2 minutes, like a couple of seconds above 2 minutes. We definitely can do it. It's a shame we didn't, but it's good to see that it's like well within reach, and we'll probably get it down at least in one group next week.
Right. Listen, just to clarify though, on our XT kill, everybody parsed between 89 and 99, except for Stormex because he was running around like a crazy person.
I guess I am a liar. Maybe you do need a lot of damage.
Yeah. What did I parse there? I thought I parsed like pretty high, like a 97 or something like that.
94.
Keep in mind, part of that probably has to do with XT freshly having no HP now. So like the parses are going to look a little bit weird the first week nerfed, I think.
Maybe.
Yeah. Come on.
maybe.
We did Vezax hard mode on 10 man, it felt just as hard as 25 man. So take that how you will. It didn't feel easier and it didn't feel hard.
Well,
it was like the exact same fight.
The one difference that me and Kabosh saw was you just don't have to kick the boss while you're in the Animus phase. Like he didn't cast. And it could have been just a bug. I don't know. But like
here's a problem that I found as a tank that maybe no one else cares about this. When he casts Surge of Darkness in 25 man, he immediately casts a Searing Flame or whatever that you have to kick after. So you don't actually have to use a cooldown till after he starts casting like Searing Flame, and then it gets kicked. And he doesn't melee during that time. So I usually call for like pain suppression or whatever. I can like wait for a while after he casts it before it has to actually be like a CD has to be used on me.
I've
in
noticed
10 man
that.
though, in 10 man he doesn't cast it right after he does Surge of Darkness.
Oh.
So you actually need to do it like right away. So it's weirdly easier. You can, if people are kicking like a little later on that flame, you can save yourself a couple of seconds of Surge of Darkness without taking any damage at all, which is pretty cool.
That is cool.
And then yeah, we killed Yogg. 10 man, super easy. I think we just one pull. After that 25 man, after that 25 man, like we just went in and went for it, and it wasn't too bad at all. And we got a caress. So we also got the spell power mace off Vezax. So we got 3 like roughly bis weapons in our 10 man night, which is
I got
another
really
dagger.
Worthless
staves.
I got another dagger.
Really worthless staves.
I got the second bis
now.
Yeah, I got the second bis assassination dagger. Wow.
Congrats to our assassination. But another awesome, like this was a really, really great week of prog. We're gonna try XT 25 man next week. We'll probably put some time into Flame Leviathan 25 man. And for 10 man, I'm not leaving until 10 man Memoron Hardmodes killed next week. So whoever's in my group, we're going for that for sure. And I think Iron Council seems doable. So Iron Council 10 man will probably be our next goal next week as well too. But we've been pumping. We're doing 3 to 4 10 mans a week. We're running 2 25 mans. We are out.
Do we get to Algalon? Algalon.
Yeah.
Do we get to Algalon?
Throwing a DK
3
tank
weeks
into our toolkit is actually a really good thing for different things.
Can we get it in 10 man? Probably before we get it in 25 man.
In 2 weeks. We can probably get the key to Algalon next week if we have a good group. We can probably get the key to Algalon next week, and then maybe the week after we can kill him. That would be my guess and assumption, but we are on our way there.
All right.
Well, thank you so much. Yip, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you?
Hi, you can find me as Yipidin or Yipbot on Benediction, or on YouTube or Twitter at The Yip Show.
Awesome.
And Play Dark and Darker comes, the playtest is next week, so everyone should quit WoW and play Dark and Darker.
You heard it here first, folks.
It's not on next week. You know why.
All right. We're going to send you back to the normal show. All right. We're back. Thank you, Yip, for coming on and telling us all about our time in Ulduar this week on Hardmodes. Let's go in and do a quick add-on of the week.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is our add-on of the week.
All right. The add-on of the week this week is Loon Best in Slot. It's a add-on that basically lets you look really quickly at if an item is BIS for you or BIS for other classes. It shows right in the tooltip. Like if you hover over a item, it's gonna say this is BIS for this class, this class, this class, and it's going to have it in order. I don't know what BIS list they base it off of, but they base it off one of the BIS lists, and it's going to have it in order of that item, of who all it's BIS for and how it it benefits the raid the most. It's not perfect, but it's going to show, like, if you give this
It's the
to
Wowhead.
it's Wowhead.
It's Wowhead Bisc Guides.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you give this to a rogue, they're going to get the most for your raid out of it. Second most, feral druids, like third most this, and it's going to tell you in order. It's pretty neat, and it's just nice to quickly reference, because I don't know about you, but I don't know every class's BIS list. Like, so it's nice to know your other competition and stuff. So it's just a real nice
custom list in there. So if you have a different BIS list, you can put a custom list in there, and it'll just show you when your BIS items. So if you don't know off the top of your head what's your second or third BIS or something like that, it'll show you.
It's really good for alts too. Like, if you're not super following that, like, it's a nice tool. I'm doing 2 mains, so I get confused a lot of times on, like, the 2 different. I'm like, I need belt. Oh wait, no, that's on my warrior that I need belt. Okay, shit. So it is kind of nice, and you kind of plan it out. So check out Loon Best in Slot. Have you tried this, WillE?
No, I have seen it though. I think when you've had a bit less time to look at Basilis, or maybe you play a lot of characters. I think it can be really nice to just give you an idea at a glance. But yeah, I haven't used it personally, but yeah, I've seen it, and I think it looks pretty good.
Awesome. All right, guys, that's going to end out the show. I'm going to go ahead and start ending this out. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at WC Reloaded. You can follow the Mash Those Buttons Network at the Mash Network. If you want to send us your WoW stories, or questions, comments, show ideas, whatever, send your emails to wcrpodcast@gmail.com. If you'd like to join the MASH Discord and interact with the hosts of this show or any of the shows on the MASH network, it's mash.gg/discord. If you wanted to, actually, I haven't used this yet, but if you want to see all of our links for Patreon, Rested XP, everything, you can actually go to warcraftreloaded.com, and that will take you right to our page, and it'll list everywhere that you can support us and everything right there. Also, if you do want to just get right to Rested XP, use code RELOADED, but instead of checking out the link from the notes, you could just go to warcraftreloaded.com/RestedXP. So that's the way you can help us out. You can also help us out by leaving ratings and reviews. We haven't, the iTunes reviews we haven't gotten a lot recently, so we really appreciate when you give those. The stars on Spotify help. Liking, subscribing, clicking that bell, and leaving a comment on the YouTube helps that grow. It's it's got a okay following now, but we'd like more on YouTube for sure. But that's all the ways you can help the show. Mel, where can we find you?
You can find me in game on Melarino.
You might not want to say
Warcraft
that.
Reloaded.
I got some hate from a guy that made a level 1 warrior just to tell me how much he hated Winky and Zyrene. And I wasn't even streaming. I logged in and instantly got a tell from this guy. So this guy was waiting. This guy was mad. I was just like,
hey, you can come give your anger to me.
Sorry, you don't really like the show, bud.
Dealing with angry people.
Yeah,
it's like one of my specialties.
It was pretty funny. It was pretty funny. But so WillE, where can we find you?
Pretty much just on YouTube, WillE. But go give these guys a follow on the various platforms. Give them a little voicemail and stuff. That'd be very nice to hear.
Thanks. You can find me on Twitter at Blazin_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. You can find me on Twitch and this show live at Blazin' Bob. All right, guys, thank you so much for coming on. WillE, as always, it is a pleasure to talk to you. And we had a good time.
Yeah.
Always.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you guys next week. Bye. Thank you very much for checking out Warcraft Reloaded podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss any future content.